In the Pits is sponsored by Hustletown Paintball. Hustletown is a brand by Jason Tinsley of Houston that is all about representing Houston paintball and highlighting its local talent. Head to hustletownpaintball.net to browse their selection of casual wear and use code PIT10 for 10% off of your order. In the Pits is partnered with Compete. Compete is a Texas-based brand by Jell Stewart of professional team AC Diesel that provides custom jerseys, pants, headbands, straps, tech shirts, and any other soft goods to help individuals and teams compete at the highest level. Support Texas Paintball and message Compete on Facebook or Instagram and mention In the Pits Podcast for 10% off your entire order. In the Pits is sponsored by FUAthletics, created with a purpose and focused on building a better you. We are a brand that matters in your workout, and every purchase gives back to cancer research. Go to thefuathletics.com and use code INTHEPITS25 for 25% off of your order. In the Pits is partnered with Get Dat Shot. Get Dat Shot now offers first-in-line photo and video editing, 20% off Get Dat Shot merch, and 20% off prints to all teams that wear the Get Dat Shot logo on their jersey. Message GetDat_shot on Facebook or Instagram to become a Get Dat Shot program team. In the Pits is partnered with Paintball Kumite. Paintball Kumite is a program designed by Colt Roberts of professional team San Antonio X Factor to take paintball players of all ages, experience levels, and skill groups and mold them into champions. The program breaks the game down into small, easy-to-learn sessions designed to help you master the fundamentals so that you can elevate your game. Newcomers to the program get a free 1-hour introductory class when mentioning In the Pits. To sign up for a class, message at Paintball Kumite on Instagram. Welcome everyone to episode 47 of In the Pits Paintball Podcast. This podcast is focused on everything that has to do with the paintball scene here in Texas, from professional players and teams to new divisional programs, local tournament series, field owners, Texas-based brands, even photographers and videographers. Every week we'll have a short and sweet episode with a new topic and a new special guest. I'm Christian Smith. I'm a player for the Texas Titans. In this episode, we are going in the pits with Matthew Davies, the man behind Matt the Gym Rat on YouTube, and player for Carolina Clutch. Matt, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good, man. I'm excited to be here, dude. Always enjoy sitting down with, like-minded individuals who are content creators and, trying to push the word of paintball and just expose other people to, this awesome sport that we play every weekend.
I mean, it is absolutely an amazing sport, and I feel like this is the time to be as far as, media in the game of paintball. It's never been better, and there's just so many creative minds out there just pushing the sport out there in new ways.
Yeah, dude. The amount of growth that we've seen over the past couple of years, especially because of short form content, it's just been insane because there is so much action-packed moments in paintball, and the fact that more people are wanting to capture that, it's helping the game for the better.
For sure. I mean, we're seeing the results of that firsthand. Lots of more younger people, especially kids, teenagers, they're coming into the game in droves. Women are coming into the game more and more, and just all around, a lot more people in the sport, either playing it, supporting it, watching it. It's a good time.
Yeah. It's been really, it's been a good experience from my end of being on that push to being behind everything that's been happening. I don't like to take credit for it, but I definitely was, one of the first people to kind of hop in there along with some of the other guys that pretty much all paintball players who play competitively know, on some type of content creation level. But yeah, just to kind of start it and, enjoy it. And that's really the only reason that kept me going, is because I like doing it so much. And now it's just became, this fruit of my labor. It's just kind of worked out pretty well.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, you are leading the charge, not just within the paintball scene, but getting the word, expanding it to the general public. You're leading the charge in a lot of facets there. So we're definitely going to pick your brain a little bit on some of the things, like how you're doing it and other ways that the rest of us can do it too.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about it, man. I'm always down to, help people grow. So
sweet. So let's get started. Getting started with your most recent events. So these past 2 weekends, you're coming off of back-to-back weekends of events. This past weekend was the Carolinas Premier X-Ball League second event, and then before that was the NXL Lone Star event. So
Yeah.
tell us about it. How did you have a good time? How were your experiences at those?
Oh, dude, anytime you get to play paintball, it's a good time, right? Like you could go 0-4 and still have like some type of fun out there with your buddies, or getting to, even just shoot gaps sometimes is just a fun thing for me to do. But yeah, I enjoyed both of them. For the Lone Star, we weren't satisfied with the finish that we had, but overall, like all of the guys on our squad played really well. I was very happy that like anybody that went out there was contributing, and that we didn't have like this weak leak or anything like that. And unfortunately, we ran into you and the rest of the Titan guys, and y'all were our kryptonite. So definitely looking forward to talking about that. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Texas was crazy. That was NXL Texas was the one event I was looking forward to because I had never played in an NXL event in Texas. So that was the one that I was like, if I'm going to one this year and I'm guaranteed I'm going to one, it's this one. So that I made sure that I was coming to Texas, I was going to enjoy myself, which I have every single time I've been there. So. And then the CPXL is right in my backyard, so it was in Rock Hill, which is the field that we play at, practice at. So it was a good time. It's a 30-minute drive from my apartment, so it's pretty easy to get there and just hang out on Saturday, watch D5 and D3 guys, and then go out and play D4 on Sunday with the group of guys that I have, it's always a good time with them. I chose to play with those guys simply because they were my friends and not because, I thought they were good players or anything like that, which says a lot whenever you can go out and win with a group of guys that you consider to be friends, and just really grow and love the sport. And so I really enjoyed it.
Well, definitely a good showing there for both events, really. I mean, making Sunday at NXL, especially with the cut from prelims to Sunday for NXL in Division 3, we went from 29 teams down to 12. They only took the top 40%. So, I mean, even just getting there just says, hey, you are a good D3 team. You belong, definitely competing on Sunday. So props to that. Just making it through that cut is difficult.
Yeah, it's no joke. I mean, that's the goal of every single team when they come in, because you can never guarantee that you're going to make Sunday at an NXL event.
Oh, yeah. And then, I mean, your program made, with the 1-2 finish over at the Carolina event the weekend after. So Carolina Clutch is definitely looking strong so far this season.
Oh yeah, I'm really proud of all the guys that went out there and competed. I think we had five teams in total in that in the CPXL event. So overall it was a good turnout. And even the breakout guys, Carolina breakout, they're still under the Clutch team and under the Clutch name. They got first in the D3 event. So just overall, really happy with how the Carolina guys are playing, and we're representing the organization really well.
For sure. And I mean, even the start of the season, getting a third place in Florida with your D3 team. So I'm sure that y'all are going to keep it rolling throughout the rest of the year.
Oh yeah, we got a fourth, but it's still like showing up and even making it that far. It was I was really happy because I was unsure about the whole entire squad coming in. We had practiced against each other, but I had never played with the actual like D3 Clutch line until that event. So it was a good turnout, and those guys were super receptive to me and my brother coming on and kind of suggesting things that we should do, and it really helped us grow. So it's a marathon, not a sprint, and I feel like we're running it pretty well right now.
For sure. All right, so let's back up a little bit for, especially for my listeners who are mostly based in Texas. Maybe they don't know so much about you or who you are, what you do. So tell us, how long have you been involved in paintball?
Whenever I tell people this, they're always like surprised. So I started playing in 2018. That was when I started, going out pretty religiously. I came home from spring break in college, and I had just been playing video games a ton. And my brother was like, "Yeah, I went out and played paintball last weekend." And I was like, "Dude, you didn't tell me. I would have came home a day early." And so kind of that happened the next weekend. We went out and played, and I was just like, it's just like playing video games. I was big into R6, so I was doing the jiggle peaks and everything on people out there. And people were like, well, you're one of the best players out here. I was like, dude, I've never played paintball before. I'm just out here playing it like Rainbow Six. but yeah, and ever since then I've just kind of been hooked. My brother's like, you want to start a team, and then we started the 843, and I'd always made YouTube videos, and so whenever we started playing pretty seriously in 2019, actually practicing and going out and playing tournaments, he was like, you should make videos, and so I took my GoPro out. And those videos are all still up on YouTube if anyone ever wants to go back and see 22-year-old Matt, just in the infancy of making YouTube videos and starting out his paintball journey. You can, go back there and see all that. But yeah, that's pretty much where it started, playing in Charleston, and then eventually we started traveling around and playing other places. But, it all started back in my hometown in Charleston.
Cool. So you're still fairly young in the scene then.
Oh, yeah.
You played with the 843. You started that up with your brother. What other teams have you played for over the years?
Man, I've got a laundry list now because I just like playing paintball so much. But yeah, the 843 is the main squad for, I believe, up until 2021. And then we kind of fell apart because we had, 7 core guys, and 2 of the guys moved away. Another guy couldn't play. And it was just kind of like, you're sitting around with 3 to 4 guys. It's kind of like, okay, we either pick up some people who were not as, we don't believe in as much, or you kind of hop on with another team. So then we hopped on with Crisis. So me and my brother hopped on with Crisis D3, and that first event that we played with them, we got second at World Cup in Division 3. So that was kind of like, okay, maybe we can make this work. Obviously we didn't win it, but I mean, second out of the I think 50 some odd teams is still a really good finish. And then unfortunately last year we just didn't produce like we thought we would. So we went 2-2 at every single event that we played in last year. We made Sunday once. And then this year, Clutch has been my main team for NXL, but I did start playing with Clutch in 2021 for the CPXLs. So just hopping on with them. I wanted to play more paintball. I knew that, in order to get better at paintball, you got to play more. So I was like, all right, I'm going to hop on and, play as much as I can. And so I started playing with Clutch in 2021 in the local leagues. And then eventually, it's just like, this is basically my home already. I might as well just make it my home all around and always be with the guys that I've been with for the past, 2 years.
Gotcha. I mean, it sounds like you're just staying close to home for the most part. And and I think that getting to play, especially with your brother, is just such a cool story. And how has it been, like, having a sibling that not only plays in the sport, but he plays on the same team as you?
Yeah, it's it's like the one person I can yell at and like call names and it's okay. Like if I argue with anybody else, like, yo, chill. But if I start arguing with my brother, people just kind of sit there and let it happen. But he's been a main contributor to not only like the team's success on all the teams we played on, but to my success too. Definitely one of my harshest critics, as I am his. But we're always on each other about trying to be better and to work harder. We'll sit in Discord and watch paintball. When we go out to the field, we used to just do drills and get on each other about like our elbows sticking out, or you're rolling too far out on your snapshots, just things like that, so that we could really dial it in. And I think it's been a better experience for the both of us. And at the end of the day, when you get to like do things with your family, it's a difference, right? A lot of times, like, your family is just seeing them when you go home or whenever it's holidays. But, I see my brother pretty much every weekend. He even comes up and stays with me on like weekends that we don't have practice, so that we can just do drills and play some points. But it's been a really good time, and it's cool that I have somebody that I grew up with, close to me, that I can share that experience with.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I wish my siblings played. I tried to get them into it, but they're just not into it. And
yeah, it's not for everybody.
Yeah, and that's fine. I'm like, hey, at least y'all tried it. You tried it once. I did have a funny story with my brother who he's a freshman in college now. He came home and he wanted to come paintballing with me, and he had always, like, I would bring him out, give him my setups to use on the rec ball field, but he had never gone on the speedball field with me. And finally he's like, all right, I'm going to play speedball, because that was about the age that I was when I started playing speedball with the Texas Longhorns. And he was like, all right, what should I do? And this was when the World Cup layout was still up on the field. So I was like, all right, I'm going to give you the simplest job on the field. You're going to go up the middle, and You're just gonna look left, and if you hear the code cowboy, you're gonna run around and shoot this guy in the back. And so he's like, all right. He went up there, no fear. And we're playing with some D5 walk-on guys that I don't really play with, and I just hear like, in the middle. I'm like, where in the middle? What do you mean? And some other guy who's not even playing the point, he's like, I think he means the cowboy. So I'm like, all right, cowboy. And then I send my brother around. Of course, there's nobody there, and he just gets shot by like 4 different people, and just walks off. He just is covered in it, and then after the point, he's like, man, that sucked. But all credit to him. He played out the rest of the day. But yeah, not the best first day of speedball for him. So I'm happy that your day was a little bit better. You got everybody telling you that you're the best guy in the field.
Yeah, it's definitely different whenever you're going up to a wall, basically the W, where your job is to bunker out the guy on the other side of it, and then you've never played before, and your first time doing that, you get absolutely demolished because there's nobody there. But yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to take it. But that's cool that at least your brother gave it a shot, because at the end of the day, you can still have fun playing rec ball and stuff like that. Me and my brother still talk about it, like, man, we need to go out and play rec ball, because all we do is play speedball. Every weekend we'll go out and do drills and do whatever. But rec ball is always a good time. It's a big stress reliever, I feel like, compared to speedball, where it's kind of like a need to perform a lot of times. So
oh yeah, next time you're in Texas, you should come down to X Factor. X Factor has some really nice rec ball fields. Like, one of our fields has like literally the Alamo recreated, and it's definitely a big attraction. We get hundreds of rec ballers every weekend coming to come play it, so definitely a field you should visit.
Yeah, I feel like I want to do a series of trying to like go to the best fields. Obviously, like, flights and everything is one thing, but like X Factor is definitely on the list of fields I want to go to that I feel like would do well as a video, because I've seen Ronnie and them whenever he went out there and they played rec ball that one time. It looked like a lot of fun, so I guarantee I'd have a good time out there.
For sure. Real quick, everybody in chat, I see we got a couple of y'all in here. Welcome. We're gonna look at the questions from the chat toward the end of the show. So if there is something that you want to ask Matt, get your questions in and we will go over them towards the end of the show. So this next question is brought to us by Hustletown Paintball. Head to hustletownpaintball.net. Use code PIT10 for 10% off of your order. So Matt, I know you haven't been in the game, but 4 or 5 years at this point. But what are some things that you've noticed have changed in paintball over those 4 or 5 years, either for better or for worse?
Man, I feel like I don't know how it was before, but I feel like there's this big talk of everyone wants to get paid, and obviously, like, there's a content creation aspect, which is the biggest thing that I see. It's hard to be monetized whenever you're making content for paintball, but there are people that are doing it, and so, like, if you tie those two together, like, we want to make money in the sport, but we don't know how to do it, or we don't know how to do it great, but yet there are some people that are monetizing it. I feel like there's a bridge there that we can make. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is just the content creation for me. That's the thing that I'm most tied to. So, like, watching like how we've evolved from paintball, I feel like there's probably like me and 2 or 3 other people that are making like focused content. But if you look even back, like early, like mid to late 2000s, like, gun reviews were the only thing that really came out. I feel like, people were just like, oh, this is the new gun, and everybody watched it. Whereas I felt like there was kind of an absence of it, maybe just like documentaries in the early 2010s. And then towards the late 2010s, we started getting like the vlogs in and everything, because that became popular. And now I feel like there's almost a void. There's kind of a couple of people making focused content, kind of like myself, where people still call it a vlog, but it's more focused content. There's a subject matter and a question posed, and it's all circled around either an event or a piece of gear or something like that. But it's a little bit more focused. Brad from Paintball Ruined My Life is another person who kind of does like focused content. And then Ryan Moffat's been doing a little bit more focused content, which is often like, challenges and things like that. But yeah, that's kind of like, I feel like where content creation needs to go to appeal to a larger audience, because I feel like the vlogging is it's kind of played out by now, and people that are watching vlogs, the only people that are watching vlogs are paintball players, right? So if we want other people to watch our videos and we want to get more than 10,000 views on a video, you're going to have to start appealing to people that aren't paintball players. But yeah, I feel like that's the biggest thing that I've seen in paintball, just from my end, is content creation. It's definitely had this, its ebbs and flows of, how people are making content in paintball.
I think you just hit the nail on the head right there. Like, we can't market only within the paintball community. Like, it's a small community, just paintball in general, but then when you focus it just on the tournament players, that's a niche of a niche. And not only that, it's like very regionally segmented, so you're only going to get a very small subsection of the target audience that you're going after. And just realizing how small that really is, like, everybody's saying grow the sport, but you can't grow it from within. You have to reach out to the general public and really tap into that audience, which there are more and more members of the media that are doing better and better job, in large part thanks to the how shorts have really come alive over the last couple of years. Like, I mean, the big one that I can think of is Verbal. Verbal has been absolutely like leading the charge as far as getting these shorts out, getting this content. And now you're seeing a lot of different videographers, media guys that are kind of following similar, like, hey, raw footage of either events or practices, or like, one move, or a lot of times even just like a simple reloading video is getting millions of views on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And now we're certainly realizing kind of a better format to get all of this content out there, because paintball is a cool sport. It's a very fun sport. It's a very exciting sport. But up until recently, it feels like we have not figured out how to take advantage of that in order to promote it.
Yeah. The shorts were, like, TikTok started it, and I was kind of adamant against TikTok for a while, just because of all the controversy around it. But eventually I hopped on because I remember, like there's people talking about how much success they had seen from TikTok just doing it in other formats. Gaming was the biggest one that comes to mind. And one of my friends that I played a lot of games with was just like, dude, you post so much content, you just might as well post it on TikTok too. And I was like, I can just make my TikTok as this like trash can that I throw in every single like thing I think is cool from paintball. And it worked out well. I was definitely one of the first people to start doing the short form content. Verbal definitely led the charge as far as getting these videographers to do it. And I feel like my style hasn't really caught on with many people as far as the consistency. But back in 2021, around this time actually, just before this, I started posting pretty consistently. So I was one of the first ones to actually start posting like the short form content. I think, like HK had been doing it. Marcos from California had been doing it. And besides that, like Rye Guy started a little bit after me, or maybe around the same time as me. But like my videos on TikTok just started taking off. And I remember the biggest thing was I kind of just like looked at what had done well on TikTok, and I kind of just was like, okay, I'll just post whatever that did well on TikTok, but like of me and my team doing it. And it took off. Like my first video that I had, I remember putting my phone down and opening an hour later, and the video had like 100,000 views, and then I went to sleep and woke up and it had 11 million views. And I remember waking up and like opening up my TikTok and seeing like 30,000 followers, like from me looking at it before I went to bed to waking up, it said like, oh, you got 30,000 new followers. So it was pretty insane. And then I had the video of my brother shooting his gun. They got like 70K views, or 70 million views. Sorry. And then like after that, it was just like, I think like 5 or 6 videos that whenever the 20 million mark in a row, just in that time span. That kind of was what took off my TikTok. And then YouTube started doing it, and Facebook, and people started paying you for it. And then that's when everything started really taking off, because people were like, oh, wow, you know, you can gain a large following and gain some type of monetary gain out of it. So that's when it all started. But yeah, before I started doing it, it was just kind of like maybe 2 or 3 people that were notable actually doing it, besides just, you know, guys uploading. And so it was interesting to kind of see that wave. It's funny enough, I went back and looked at the YouTube search term for paintball, and around the same time that my videos started blowing up, the search term for paintball like skyrocketed, and it stayed up there ever since. And I thought that was kind of cool that maybe there was, you know, millions of people seeing my videos and going on YouTube and looking up paintball, and how many of those people are actually playing now, which is really cool. But you know, they see my video on TikTok, and they're like, wow, you know, they're bored sitting at their phone, and they're like, oh, let's go see what paintball's actually about. Is it all about them just shooting paint and dumping it, or are they actually shooting people? And so it was cool to kind of just see that correlation. But yeah, the short form content has changed the game of content creation for sure.
It's weird to think about that just your, you know, couple of clips that you put out there could potentially have such a large impact, as far as like, hey, these people may go try out paintball. You know, this person may become the next, you know, D5 player at their local field, or this person may eventually one day make it to the pros and look back, you know, 5, 7, 10 years or however long it takes from now, and they'll be like, yeah, I saw him at the gym rat video on TikTok, and that's how I got started.
Yeah, it's so wild, dude. There's still like people I look up to now that I've surpassed, and you know, like light years beyond, but I still look up to them so much. Like Dylan Fout's a guy that like I never feel like I've passed him, you know, creative wise, but like when you look at YouTube numbers, like the place for things, I always watched his videos, and I was like, dude, I will never get to this point. Like 1,000 subscribers seemed like forever to me. Like I had been doing it for 2 years and hadn't even touched like 500, and I was like, wow, man, I'm never gonna get there. And now I've got like almost 150k subs, and I still look up to Dylan for like all of, you know, his work ethic and what he does, and he's a big inspiration to me. But yeah, like just people like that were like, oh wow, this guy's got, you know, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 subscribers, or even Ronnie, who had, you know, like 25 at the time, is like, oh dude, that's gonna be hard to get to. And now it's like, you know, it's just so far past it. So
yeah, man. And just with all the growth that we're seeing, I think that it's going to continue just across the board, not only for your channel, but all of those channels that you mentioned, and hopefully all of paintball as a whole. And there are a lot of content creators doing very different things. Like you're seeing more like full length raw match videos, guys like Solus, who've been doing it for quite a while now. Dufert Media has been doing it over at WC. Yosh Designs has been on and off. He's starting to really pick it back up again lately, and he's always got those, you know, hilarious clips that he's kind of been doing the hilarious short clips for the longest time. And now that, hey, there's like a format for that, I hope that he starts posting that and it really takes off for him.
Yeah, he's been on his troll mode lately. He's been commenting on like my stuff and other people's stuff. So he's been trolling people lately, but he's a good guy, man. I love talking to him, and he's helped me out a ton, just from being one of those people that's like been a big inspiration. And also even now with my content now, you know, if I ever need something, I'll hit him up, and he's, you know, always more than willing to help me out, and not expect anything in return. And that's huge. That, you know, someone like him that I looked up to for a long time is, you know, just willing to look at me as a peer and help me out. So it's really awesome. Like just all of these videographers and content creators in paintball are willing to help each other, and that's huge.
Oh yeah, and let's kind of back up a little bit to how you started this to begin with. Like, so your YouTube channel right now, or at least when I wrote the script earlier this week, you're sitting at 143,000 subscribers just on YouTube. I don't have a TikTok, so I didn't really have a way to check that. So just on YouTube, you're sitting at 143,000 subscribers. So what was it that made you want to begin like creating and publishing paintball content?
Dude, I've been doing YouTube since like 2010. But not good. Let's just put it there. It wasn't good. But I used to do dance videos in middle school, and so like that's what got me in, is like I would watch my buddies dance and post videos. So I was like, oh, they're my best friends. I want to do the same thing. And then they would make really cool videos with like cool edits, and I was like, oh, I want to do the same thing. So I was on my old Dell laptop with like Movie Maker, just trying to figure out what I could do, like putting rainbow effects in and stuff like that. And then I started making protein videos in high school, and you can still find those. My buddy my buddy says that like the George Lopez, how like when you used to wake up in the middle of the night and George Lopez would be playing, he's like, that's like how my protein reviews are to him, is because like he'll watch my videos and fall asleep and wake up to me doing a protein review back in 2013. But yeah, then I started doing like that, and that actually took off. I feel like if I had stuck with that just consistently, that it would have done really well, and I'd probably be in a different place. But I'm really fortunate that I didn't. And then going into college, like I started college in 2015, and then well, no, let's not get into numbers, that'll be embarrassing. But yeah, I started like in 2017, like vlogging took off, and I was always watching fitness influencers do vlogs, and so I was like, okay, I want to do this. So I started doing like fitness influencer vlog type things, and that never really went anywhere. But I did, it grew. I grew as a knowledge base of creating videos and a confidence to create videos, right? Because that's a huge thing, is to put yourself out in the internet, and being vulnerable, not in a place where you can respond to people. And so whenever paintball came around, and my brother's like, well, you should do it, you have the GoPro. I was like, okay, it'll be easy. And I kind of like grown as a editor as far as like making music videos, and realizing like, oh, it's not that hard to, make edits. And so I just, went from there. And really, the biggest thing that helped me was just like other people giving me feedback of like, hey man, I really like this video. Or, like, oh dude, I watch your videos, like going out to the field when I had 200 subscribers, and someone coming up to me be like, yo dude, I watched your videos before, you're on YouTube. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And it's really eye-opening that like, oh, there are people that are actually watching and enjoying my content that are literally, in my backyard. So it was a really good, or a really awesome, I feel like that's a better way to put it, a really awesome experience to just have that for the first time, and that to continue to happen, as I kept making videos. But yeah, like I've always made videos. I've always enjoyed making videos. So I've always been kind of that content creator.
I love how you start with making dance videos in middle school. So really, you've just been a TikToker all your life. You just got here a little bit early.
Yeah, that was the cool thing back in 2011 was like, what is it, like jerking and Dougie and all that other stuff that we used to do back in the day. But yeah, we used to get down back in South Carolina. We used to get down in the back of our middle school dancing.
I love it. So, I mean, it's all prepared you kind of for where you are right now. It seems like that has transferred over pretty well. So, as far as like your current setup and how you film, how you edit all of that. So tell us about like the equipment, the software that you use for filming and editing. And then on top of that, like, let's say from beginning to end with one of your, both a long form video and a short form video, what's the average time it takes from start to finish?
Yeah. So as far as like filming setup, the camera that I'm using right now is a Canon 80D. It's actually a really old, fat, heavy DSLR that I would not recommend anyone getting unless you want something that shoots somewhat decent. But you can definitely get cheaper cameras that are way lighter and way newer and work better than this one. But I have a Canon 80D. And then as far as like what I usually film with, I've got this is a broken one, but this is a DJI Action 2. And basically all it is a small little action camera that can kind of pop off. It's about the same like size as a GoPro Session. It's just skinnier and lighter. But it's awesome. It shoots 4K at 120 FPS. So if I wanted to do really, really slow-mo stuff that I could zoom in and have some type of high quality, I could. But it's also got internal battery and storage, so it fills up really fast when you're shooting 4K. But that's the camera that I use, and I've got a ton of other GoPros that I've collected over the years that I occasionally will bring out. And then I'm editing all of this on Adobe Premiere Pro, and then also making thumbnails on Photoshop and Lightroom, which is a huge part of content. Don't ever sleep on thumbnails. They are literally what will drive your video to do great. But yeah, then on that, shorts, if I'm just doing like raw footage, I can knock out like 40 in like 2 hours, maybe. I just kind of skim through the footage and we'll find like if somebody's getting shot or if, something funny is happening or anything like that. And then I'll like watch before and after to see if there's anything interesting in there. And if there isn't, then it's kind of like clip it and ship it. For if I'm doing like meme videos, I'll take like up to 3 hours maybe, or like the edit that I posted yesterday, that probably took me like an hour to make. It all depends on the length and how in detail I want to be. And then when we're getting to long form content, I've definitely expedited the process, but now it's like it probably takes me 25 hours, I would say, to do like a long form content video. Which is why like my videos have been a lot shorter coming out recently, or a lot more spaced out coming out recently since I got a new job and really focused on going to the gym and staying in shape, that I only have a couple hours each night to edit. So it does take me a little bit longer, and I always like to rewatch my videos like 4 or 5 times before I post them. But I mean, the longest I've probably ever taken on a video is like 50 hours on a video. That's obviously like, that was when I had a lot more time on my hands, but I would just sit down and comb through and try and make sure everything's correct. But now it's probably 20 to 25 hours on a video just to get it out and make sure everything's in, proper working order.
Got it. So just looking at as far as the length of the video itself. So for these long form videos, like your most recent one was your Bunkerfest video as far as the long form. And you're saying that's around like 20 to 25 hours of editing, which you're taking from multiple angles. I know you have the DJI camera, which is usually the one that's on your mask, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And then do you also run a barrel cam as well? Is that also a DJI or?
Yeah, it's just whatever I'm feeling. It's the same camera. I'll just like, if I want to run the barrel cam, I'll throw it on there. If I want to run the head cam, I will. The thing I've always learned is like, people will complain if I use the barrel cam, but they won't complain if I use the head cam, even though you can't see like what I'm shooting. So I dislike the barrel cam, or I dislike the head cam because I can't see like when I shoot people. But people don't like the barrel cam because it doesn't give you like the full aspect. So maybe I should get another one. Like this one's broken. I probably should send it back and get it fixed so I can run 2. But like I said, like these things, like that DJI Action 2s, they fill up really quick if you're shooting at 4K. So you could probably get like 6 matches in until you have to like, offload all the footage and then let it charge. But yeah, it's usually one or the other. I use the barrel cam for all of Texas just because I was like, I want to see, I'm just going to do it like this because I don't want to deal with, the head cam stuff, and I can see when I turn it on and turn it off. And so it just made it a lot easier, and I'll be able to, I had some really good points, so I'll be able to get some meme videos out of that, which I'm excited to do. But leading up to the event, I did an Ether 3 video, which that'll come out in probably like 2 months. I did an Ether 3 video, and so I had the head cam and the barrel cam just so I wouldn't miss anything because I didn't have Will filming for that one. But yeah, it's usually like, the DJI is either on my head or on my barrel.
Got it. And I like how you mentioned, Will filming you on the sideline because with your footage, you're usually balancing 2 or 3 camera angles throughout the entire video, which gives you a lot of footage to kind of go through, sync up, and, on top of that, balance all of the audio and inserting all of the extra stuff, which I know a little bit about. Most of the stuff that I've been editing has been for more practical purposes, like getting practice film to study. I like balancing, hey, I have this sideline camera and then I've got one behind the box, and just syncing those up is a little bit time consuming. So I can't imagine like adding all the bells and whistles just to get this 16-minute video out. And then what surprises me though is just how long the shorts take. I know for some of them just a clip and ship, which is a lot of like what Verbal does, where he just takes the raw footage and uploads the cool stuff. But are you seeing like more and more, are you making edits dedicated for the short version or the short format, or are you just taking a clip from your like full long form content and then like kind of editing those down into several shorts as well?
So it's kind of a little bit of both. I always like to have like a focused short that kind of points people to the actual video, and so it'll set the stage for the video, and then it'll kind of leave it on a cliffhanger a lot of times. But if you look at like what's really driving a short performance nowadays, you're always going to see focused videos on shorts. Like if you go on there, you're like, like even the Mr. Beast one where he's paying somebody $300 to go get him a baguette. Like it's a focused short that's like planned out and not just like a willy-nilly cut and clip and ship type of thing. And so I feel like I try and take short form content from a long format creator's perspective of building a story and having a hook and giving people something to like be invested in, so they watch the whole thing. So like if you like my what is it when I destroyed my 100K plaque, I was like, it's 100,000 paintballs versus 100K plaque, from YouTube. And so like it's like almost like a long form thing. So I think honestly that's what I would like to do all the time, is just post focused short form content, because I feel like it's more digestible. It's also easier to take in from an outside perspective, and I feel like that's what the algorithm is wanting a lot of times. And I feel like if I do all that, then there's only there's a very small chance that you miss you like miss the people that you're trying to target. So I feel like when I approach it from that way, I would like to do that all the time, but I don't have the time to do that. So it's like, okay, I can do 1 to 2 of these, a week, or maybe 1 to 2 of them, or 3 to 4 of them a month, just to try and get them out. And have like this focused short form content. But at the same time, I try and mix in plenty of my gameplay footage of myself playing, so that people can, understand, like relate my content with me. And being an athlete is a little bit different. Like you can show the plays, you can show your athleticism in the short form content. It's not so much like other people that maybe, have talking head videos or commentary videos where they can't really show them doing it. It's almost like video games and showing highlight clips. It's the same thing, I feel like. So when it comes to short form content, it's like 50-50. A lot of times I'm pulling from my long form content or directing it back to my long form content. And then other times it's just like solo focused things that are meant to, do well and have some type of story behind it.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I can see how the objective there is to, hey, this person that's watching this video, you want that person to watch your other content as well. So just creating that story just, draws people in. I see it. I think it's a format or a strategy that works really well. So part of the footage that you're getting, especially when you're showing off the more athletic moves, is from this second person filming you on the sideline, which usually you have this partnership with 40 Media, where he films you from the sidelines for your content, either at practices or at events. So how did you establish that relationship with him? And then like, what kind of agreement do you have together? Is it like a business agreement? Or is he for hire? Does he get a cut of like the revenue that you're earning from your content? And how important has having this other camera angle been to your content and to your channel?
So actually, Will pays me to film me. No, I'm joking. But no, me and Will were actually friends before he started filming. So we went to Clemson together. Go Tigers! But me and him went to Clemson together, and we're the same age, but he graduated like 2 years before I did. So we were just we never played on the same team. But he was there the semester that I joined the team, and we never actually played a tournament. So like he was out to a couple practices, and I bought a gun off of him because he used to buy and sell a bunch of guns for paintball guns. So just kind of like establish that relationship. And he was just like, "Hey man, if y'all ever go out and play, I'm down to go play." He lived like an hour from Rock Hill, and we lived like 2 hours, so we'd always go out there. Or at Greenville, we would go out there, which I was an hour away and he was an hour away. And so like every time I was like, all right, dude, I'll hit you up, because I go out and play every weekend, and we always need people because I'm always like one of the guys on the pickup squad. And so he would just come out and play. And then we actually played a tournament together in 2021 as the 843. That was our last tournament as the 843 that we played. But we got third in the CPXL and D4. And so like he was the back center guy for us. for a lot of that. That was also like the worst tournament I've ever played in my life. It was July in North Carolina, or in South Carolina. It was like 90 degrees with, like 90% humidity. And we had we had 7 guys on the roster and no pit help. So we were running all the pods, playing, played 7 matches in one day. It was awful. But going into 2022, after we had done the D3 thing with Crisis and the 843, he was kind of like, "Hey man, I'm not gonna be able to keep up. And your YouTube stuff's doing really well. I think I'm just gonna film." And I was like, "That's cool, dude. Like it'll still be all us going out to the field every weekend, but you'll be filming and it'll help me out a ton." And that's kind of where it started. And he just really grew a passion for it. He enjoys coming out and filming just because, like the community in paintball, like, is just so awesome to just be around these people. And, I'm sure plenty of people that come out to the field just to hang out. And so Will comes out there, hangs out, he gets footage, gets content, and he also, just gets to hang out with, some of his best friends, which luckily I'm one of them. So that's just kind of how it is. Whenever it comes to like filming, if I'm playing with a team, we'll pay him unless like we're going to the NXL or we're going out to, like when we went to Texas, it's like, "Hey, Will, I'm going to cover everything for you. You don't have to pay for anything." So it's flight, stay, and food. I was like, "Hey, I've got it for you," so that he can come out there with no money out of his pocket and do, whatever he wants to do. And so like the NXL, he can book teams and make money, because this is his full-time job. So it's like, "Hey man, I don't want you to have to, pull money from your income to, not have something to replace it. So I want you to come out there to, purely focus on filming and not have to worry about like, dang, this flight's expensive or anything like that." So it's a really good relationship because we are, we're best friends at the core of our relationship. And it just works out that I'm like, "Hey man, what are you doing this weekend?" He's like, "Oh, I'm coming out to film." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll be there." And there's been weekends where he's going out to film and I didn't want to go play. And then it's like, "All right, well, I guess I'm going to play because Will's going out to film." So it's just kind of like, it's a really good relationship. And like I said, at the core, we're just best friends. So it's pretty easy for everything else to kind of work itself out.
That's a very, very, lucky relationship. I'd almost say, like, hold on to that one tight and don't let him go, because man, that's a hell of an arrangement that you have there with them. And I just want to say, because we do have a lot of Texas players in here. I mean, 90 degrees in July.
Come on.
90 degrees, bro. Do not
y'all
come.
have humidity like that.
All I can say is don't come to the USXBL events in July at San Antonio X Factor, where the temperature is regularly in like the 115s and the turf is like 140 something degrees. You're not gonna make it, homie. If 90 degrees is gonna give you trouble, I'll just say that now.
It wasn't that. It was more of, I played the one all day and we had no pit help, so I would like run off the field if I got shot early, and then have to grab the pod bag and run back on the field.
Okay, that is rough.
Yeah, we had to fill pods as soon as we would come off, and then go back, walk to the pits. It was pretty much playing paintball from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. that day. So it was a hard time, and I was basically the one. I was the guy to run everywhere. I remember coming out the field one point and I'm like, "I can't breathe. I don't know why I can't breathe, but I can't breathe." And my buddy like poured water down me. I was like, "Okay, I can breathe." But I was like the first time I've ever felt like that in my life, where I came out the field and I was like, "Dude, I don't know why, but my lungs are not expanding right now."
Yeah, that's having 7 with no pit help, and you're the one, and they made you run pods. Like, come on, like, geez, it is like. People don't realize, like, hey, it's more than just the people on the field. You do need like a sufficient support staff at events to help you be successful, even if it's just one person. Like,
yeah, it makes a difference, dude.
Something is a huge difference versus just like, hey, it's just all of us doing it on our own. We're gonna have to play your coach and wipe hits and run pods and fill and all of that. Like, man, that gets very strenuous. So I guess I understand that. Yep. Verbal's in the chat. He said, yes, the worst scheduled event of the year, USXBL in San Antonio in July. Yep. 100%. At least this year, with USXBL kind of downscaling a bit, it's not going to be as brutal of a day. So this next question is brought to us by Paintball Kumite, which is Colt Roberts' training regimen here at X Factor. So message at Paintball Kumite on Instagram to sign up for a class and mention In the Pits to get a free 1-hour introductory session. So your videos get anywhere from several thousand to several 100,000 views as far as your long form content on YouTube. But your shorts are where you really have taken off. So do you feel like shorts are like currently the place to be releasing content in order to get the highest returns? And is your content more like focused mainly on shorts, mainly on long form, with shorts kind of leading to the long form content, or is it more of a mix of both?
My focus has always been long form content. Like even the reason I made a TikTok and the reason I post the shorts is all for my long form content. I hope that if somebody watches my shorts, like the whole reason I post it is I hope that somebody watches it and goes, huh, and clicks on my channel and then sees that I post long form content consistently. And they're like, oh, wow, you know, this is something bigger, and they'll watch it. And because it's where I can be the most creative. It's where I can express myself the most. And it's where you actually do have the largest return on investment when you're looking at it from a, you know, not only monetization standpoint, but also from a relationship standpoint of you and the viewer. So it's always been my focus. You know, the whole reason, like I said, I started the TikTok and started posting was I had the hope that somebody would click on the YouTube link and go watch the full YouTube video. So it's always been where I have put my eggs in the basket as far as that. It's where the most eggs are in the basket is in my long form content. I am the most proud of it. The shorts, you know, and I'm sure Verbal's in the chat. I'm sure he can attest to it, that not every short you put out, you're going to be proud of, you know? And even sometimes it's even the ones that go viral that you're like, oh, I didn't care about that at all, you know? So it's definitely, it's not as rewarding, but there's a dopamine hit there whenever you see like those views go up. And I have I want to focus more on my long form content, which I feel like will give me a little bit more time to pull out some short form content that's focused, where I'm not trying to churn out a video every week. I'm trying to churn out like a rock solid video every 3 weeks instead of like 3 mediocre videos. So that's kind of like where I'm at with that. But yeah, I've always been focused on it. Now, as far as is it the best thing to do right now? I think from getting in, you know, that it's the easiest thing to do, and I obviously like shown a lot of return. But like if I showed you, you know, like the amount of views I was getting versus, you know, the money that you get paid for it, it's definitely not the same as like long form content. So it's always like you get the big numbers and you get the big views and you get all the subscribers, but you're not seeing like the return on investment, like the people that are doing the long form content and seeing the amount of subscribers and views, you know, getting. So it's definitely a great way to get your foot in. It's a lot easier. But when it comes to the long form content, it's a little bit more of a grind and a learning process, a way bigger learning process. And it does have a larger return on investment. And that's always, you know, what I encourage people to do is try and learn how to make long form content more engaging and, you know, more appealing.
Yeah, Verbal's kind of echoing that same thing in the chat here. He says, shorts for growth, long form brings money. And that also that he says the short that he wasn't even going to post is the one that is driving all of his YouTube growth currently. So yeah, that definitely explains it there. So with like all of the videos and content that you've put out over the years, what are some tips and tricks that you have picked up that have helped your content perform better, either through editing, filming angles or quality or techniques, or the format, or like maybe post scheduling, even to like the promotion of your content and channel? Like, what are some of the tips and tricks that you have found over the years that have helped your content do better?
Yeah, I would say the largest thing that holds people back is just to do it. I feel like most people just feel like it's not good enough to do it, and so they never do it. Just you got to start learning somewhere. YouTube gives you analytics so you can see the performance and the changes and the steps and realize like, oh, I did this instead of that. the other biggest thing is just learn. There's been so many people that have been successful on YouTube and successful on other platforms to not just take the formula and apply it to yourself. It's the same thing with paintball. Like you don't go out to the paintball field and try and make up your drills by yourself and expect it to be good. You don't teach yourself how to hold the paintball gun. Somebody tells you how to do it, right? So it's a big thing that, there's a formula to everything to be successful. Right. There's always going to be, hey, you have to do this to be good. You have to hold your paintball gun right. You have to snap shoot like this, or else you're going to get shot in your face, or you're going to hit your loader every single time you come out. So it's the same thing with content creation. Learn the formula. There's plenty of YouTube channels that will teach you how to make good YouTube videos. And then the other thing is like, all art is imitation. So you always draw inspiration from other people. I said this on PTG, but like the biggest thing is like, if you like something in a video, try it out with your own twist in your own video, right? If you like the fact that this guy, whenever he talks, he's got subtitles that pop up and kind of jiggle or whatever, or whenever I shoot somebody in paintball and I put the little hit marker there and you like that, like put your own twist on it, right? Like what's your favorite video game? Valorant? What's the hit marker on Valorant? Okay, let's throw that in there. What's the sound like on Valorant? It's just things like that. Take what you like in content and put your own twist on it. And when you put that with learning and understanding how to make a good video, putting your own twist on it, and then consistently doing it, it's just a recipe for growth.
Yeah, and I love how with some of that feedback you went into like the very specific details, like, hey, the way that like the subtitles jiggle, or not just having a hit marker, but which specific hit marker do you want? The Call of Duty one? Do you want the Valorant one? Etc. And just being able to focus on those little details, because you're not the only one that's noticing it. It's all of the other viewers out there that are noticing it, and the people that you are wanting to attract and keep hold of. They are the ones that are going to notice those fine details, and it all goes into like the production value of it all. So, you said like you're drawing inspiration, like all art is imitation, and you're drawing inspiration from others and their content and what they're putting out. And a few years before your channel started blowing up, there was another Matt paintball YouTuber, Matty Boy. Did you ever like get to see his content and draw any inspiration from his stuff?
Oh yeah, he's like his channel his channel even back in the day was doing way better than mine is now. I might have more subscribers than him, but a lot of that short form content which was not popping before him. So he definitely cultivated a large audience just off of long form content, which is a very hard thing to do. So I have a ton of respect for that dude. He definitely paved the way for somebody like me that could come in. And it's unfortunate that he's not here posting because especially how the YouTube algorithm works is they watch one paintball video, they're going to get recommended another. So that would mean that my video is right behind his, or hopefully his video is right behind mine. But yeah, I've always drawn inspiration from him. When you look at like certain things, and I go back and rewatch them even now to kind of see like, oh, what did he do here that made people, actually like him like this video? And, and I've drawn a lot of things. Actually, the World Cup video that I did that got like 230K views. I took a lot of stuff from him. I made sure to wear the head cam and to keep it recording when I went in the pits and came out. I had people recording in the pits just because I realized like a lot of the stuff that people liked from him wasn't even him playing paintball. It was him being himself in the pits and the huge parts that go into making you a personality, which is your personality. So that was the huge part of it, is that like, oh, this guy was likable, and he included all these moments that were very relatable in the video, along with playing paintball. So you capture that paintball audience as well as the audience who is interested in who you are as a person and what you're doing. And once you can capture somebody, and once you can get somebody invested into your personality, it doesn't matter what you do. They're going to watch the video, right? So he got people invested into his personality, and thus those people watched paintball. And that's something, I've seen plenty of people make videos that look like Madaway videos, but it's hard to replicate it because they're not him. So that's always what I'm trying to do, is make sure that people are coming to watch my videos because of me. And so he's always been like a shining light when it comes to paintball. Because his long form content did so well consistently. Like, I mean, I think his lowest viewed video is like 30K views. So that says a lot, that he was consistently, getting around that mark. Whereas like my mark right now is like, I want to get 10K views minimum a video, because I feel like that's a good marker that I'm reaching my audience in a little bit more. So just something like that is always huge. And, really drawing inspiration from what has worked in paintball, because not only looking outside of paintball, but looking at the people that have paved the way before you, it's a great learning process. And you can also take like, hey, what did he not do in these videos that I feel like I could do to make my content stand out and surpass this?
Yeah. And it is a shame that Matty Boy's not still around. But he was there, and then he went away, and it felt like no one was there to fill the void for a while. And now we're kind of getting back to that with a lot more people that are spread out. And the way the algorithm is working is we are seeing more and more like, hey, I just saw this video on Verbal. Now I'm going to get directed to Solis's channel, or I'm going to get directed to your channel, or I'm going to get directed to Dufert or Yosh, or, all of these different content creators that are all putting out content at the same time, which I think is creating definitely a positive feedback loop there.
Yeah, it's huge, man. I mean, like I said, how the algorithm works is you watch one video. If you watch it all the way through, they already know. They're like, okay, this guy's already invested into this. We're going to show him another one. If he watches that all the way through and likes it, then, okay, we're going to give him, 10 more out of the, 15 videos that we're going to show him. 10 of them are going to be, something to have to do with this, or like some type of, genre that fits into it. So with paintball, it's the same way. Somebody watches an airsoft video, they'll have a paintball video recommended within the 3 airsoft videos that they also have recommended. If they click on the paintball one, then it kind of understands like, oh, this guy's clicking on, shooting sports. So we're going to keep him in the shooting sports realm. So he keeps watching. And so it's really just it's a pyramid effect where, you start at the top and you eventually, build up to where you're getting recommended hundreds of them. So it's always good to have more content out there that is doing well and recommending other content in the same space.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of like this content, like you're drawing inspiration, yes, from other paintballers, but you're also taking things from videos that are outside of paintball completely. So who are the other sources of inspiration that you're drawing from?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is Destroying. I don't know how many people know who Destroying is, but
he's the field goal kicker, right?
Yep. And he does I would love to do some 1v1 tournaments for $10,000 if I had that type of AdSense money that he gets. But yeah, he does the tournaments, which it's insane, those turnouts that he's like literally had to like shut down places because they've had like too many people at the football fields. It's so cool, but at the same time he's doing, and funny enough, we keep on bringing up Verb. I've talked to Verb about Destroying because he's filmed football before, but just the way to captivate sports and put it in some type of digestible and exciting content. It's hard to draw the relationships, but for me, it's kind of easy. Like you need to have some type of exciting music. You need to have a build up. You need to have some type of risk in there. You need to, have this setting that seems to be just large. Like the $10,000. It's huge. There's all these people playing for it, and then you've got all these guys trying their hardest to get it. And with football, it's a little bit easier. There's one focal point. On paintball, there's 10 focal points. It's a lot harder. So it's not as easy, but that's where like the action cameras come in and stuff. So that's huge. Another one I draw from, and I guarantee most of the people watching this, no idea who this guy is. His name is Phoenix Resale, and he does video game hunting. He's a reseller for video games, but his videos are so well made, and he's always got like a challenge or an action item in the video, or some type of hook that makes you want to watch the whole entire video. So like, it'll be like, hey, like I'm trying to buy these video games, but I want to do it without spending any money. So my goal is to, find games I can flip for money and then buy the other games that I want with it. And so like, that's the whole premise. Or it's like, how much money can I spend at this convention buying video games that I can flip, and how much profit can I make? So there's always some type of build up to it. And there's a lot of little details in there that make you want to like come back and watch the next one. Obviously, and I think the other biggest one is like Mr. Beast. It's hard not to look at the number one guy and not try and learn from him, right? The guy who's found out how to do YouTube videos the best and not try and draw something from it. That's like looking at Ryan Greenspan and being like, I'm not going to try and learn from this guy. It's like looking at the Dynasty team as another team and saying like, I don't think we need anything from them. But yeah, it's looking at what he does, the timing, the way that the intros happen, the way that he segues into things, the transitions, all of that, it adds up. So like those are some of the people that I think of that I draw inspiration from. And then there's a lot of other YouTubers that I watch that it's just like, oh, I can do that, or oh, like if I miss this part, how do I still include it by just me talking into the mic? Instead of me like dialoguing it. The other ones that have helped me grow a lot is Think Media. That's one that has helped me make better YouTube videos. And then Film Booth is another one. Those are just really good sources of knowledge for like how to make good YouTube videos. So I always direct my friends to those whenever they want to learn. They're like, oh, how do I, how did you start making better videos? And it's like, oh, I just, followed what these guys said. So those are just like some of the channels that I draw inspiration from.
For sure. And it's all content and like at the end of the day, all of these content, whether it's gaming, hunting for resale or getting the one-on-one challenge out, all at the end of the day, they all have the same objective, which is to hook viewers and get views. So there's just a lot of different strategies to do it. And I don't know if paintball is at the point where we can just drop bans at a local field for one-on-one tournaments. If we get to that point, then cool. But yeah, it's really great that all of these, you're able to draw inspiration from all of these different sources. Like even this podcast, when I first started out, I'm like, okay, what am I looking for? Like the big thing for me was, hey, I want to get this overlay. That way it's clear, like who I am talking to, who they are, how can you reach out or follow them or see what they are. It's similar to like the Ghost Sports interviews that Matty Marshall does. Like he has nameplates and handles underneath that. So it's definitely there are many more sources of inspiration that you can draw from, and not only like imitate, but notice, hey, I could do that better, or this is how I could do that. And that's something that seems to be very rare in terms of like what's going on at the top level of paintball right now. So like not many players at the very top level, like not many pros are putting content. It's really just like D's on Docs, the Spick and Span show, the Play the Game podcast, Ghost Sports themselves, and then like the outsourced stuff coming from HK and GI, like stuff from Dylan Filmed It, stuff from Verbal, things like that. So do you think more pro teams and like the paintball industry itself, do you think they should be releasing more content to promote themselves in the game, and how do you think they should go about it?
Oh yeah, dude. It's not that hard, to be honest, just to film yourself. Literally everybody's got a camera on their phone, right? You got a front and a back one. So if you want to film yourself, you got it. And if you want to film somebody else, you got that too. It's not that hard. The hardest part is editing it. And if you're okay with putting out stuff, you can learn, a easy way to put out very engaging content that is minimally edited. So I think that they should definitely do it more. Even if they are outsourcing it, I think that as far as like from sales wise, if you can get those people hooked, then you can drive sales. It's the way that NFL operates. They talk about wanting to get paid, but yet we're not trying to draw people in to watch the sport, which is how the NFL makes most of their money, right? From the TV deals and the people sitting in the stands. Those are huge things that drive a lot of income. So that's kind of where it has to be. And, there's always these guys talking about like, oh, we need this, we need that, but yet they could do it themselves and they don't want to. And understandably, it takes time, but if you want to see some type of return, you have to have some type of investment, right? So I remember listening to like some of the guys talking, some of the other podcasts, and they're like, yeah, editing sucks, it takes forever, yeah, it's just not for me. And I'm like, well, as a content creator, you should know that maybe this is going to take some time, but the return on it will be worth it, right? And that's That's huge. As far as teams go, I mean, Uprising's doing a pretty good job with the dude that owns Finlay Hats, just coming in and literally just grabbing clips and talking over it and being like, oh, today we played in our first professional paintball tournament as, this team, or like, today we has our first day of matches at the NXL. We woke up early and went and got breakfast, and then we got to the field at blank. We played blank for the first event, and this was the score, and then you do that for the next event. It's like, and then we went and got dinner at blank, and then you say, overall, we performed how we wanted to, and we're looking forward to day 2. And it's that easy, right? You just throw the clips together and you voice it over, and then you clip it and ship it. And so it's an easy formula. People like certain things on TikTok, on Shorts, and you can easily find it because you'll see it and be like, oh, this has a lot of views. What do they do here? Oh, they just talked over the whole entire thing. Okay, well, it's a narration and it's a story. That gets back to what we were talking about for like short form content. It's a focused story that people can become invested in. Oh, there's a professional paintball team that's playing a tournament. What does it look like? So it's that easy. And I mean, like, I feel like Ronnie did a good job with like short form vlogs, but you can even like just film what you eat in a day, which I did that for the tournament that we played last weekend. The short form video is going to be what I ate in a day as playing a paintball tournament. And it's a bunch of carbs, to be honest. It's like half a muffin, bananas, donuts. I was like, people are going to roast me in the comments, but I could care less. It's just going to be for the people that want to see like what I'm doing in a normal day. And that develops a relationship, right? Like, oh shoot, I eat donuts in the morning too when I go to the field. Or it's like, oh yeah, Matt almost ate a banana on film, which y'all will never see me eat a banana on camera. So, but yeah, it's just like the little things like that, like Ryan Greenspan could be like, oh, this is my workout for the day, and easily just set up his camera at the gym, or Marcelo could set up his camera at the gym and show people the workout he did for the day. It's that easy. And I feel like, it's just, you, like I said, you have to have some type of investment to have some type of return.
One team that I think is actually trying to make waves in that aspect is actually Austin Notorious. They released kind of a documentary on how they got to where they are now as the newest team in the Pro Division with, I think Maxed might have been the one as far as like publishing behind it. But they released a story of, hey, what does FSU stand for, and who Diego Soto is, who is a player that was playing with them all the way through divisionals and then, tragically passed away 2 years ago. So stories like that they're putting out to get like, hey, they may be the newest pro team, but we're going to do things to actually gain our, grow our following. And so props to Notorious, and you're not really seeing very many teams do that. And even if editing is the problem, like filming, I feel like has gotten easier and easier with, these new cameras that are coming out on phones, like phones can film in 4K. That's insane to me that you have that capability now. But if editing is the problem, like you can outsource that too. And while there is an extra expense there, but there's plenty of editors, like you see all the time, like especially with gaming YouTube channels, they'll have 2 or 3 editors partnered with them that they kind of rotate as far as who's editing the footage for that week. And it's an expense, but that's how you grow the following. If editing is truly like something that you really can't get past, you just outsource that too.
Yeah. Do you know who made the Austin Notorious video?
Was it you?
It was Will, but
it was Will. Nice.
I made sure that Will was doing everything right. He kind of came to me. It was like, hey, is this all right? So it was Charles's idea from Maxed, and then he paid Will to do it. So talk about somebody who has that type of investment. Charles was like, hey, I'm sponsoring Notorious. I want people to know who they are. And then he came to Will and me and was like, hey, can y'all make this happen? And I was like, Will, this is going to be like, your entry into video editing. You are going to, make this, and this is going to be your labor of love. You're going to learn what it's like for me to sit down and make a video. And so he was pretty stressed out about it, but I was there to help him. So yeah, it was one of those things where like, I felt like this was how, the team should be introduced. And Will pretty much did everything. Will pretty much, led the whole thing. It just came to me for guidance. And then, Charles was the guy who thought of it. So it was kind of like a three-headed dragon on taking that on.
Yeah, and I'm sure plenty of people have seen that, and now they know who Notorious is versus like, hey, these are. Otherwise, it's just, hey, these are the new kids on the block. We don't know much about them other than, hey, they won D2 and then they immediately won semi-pro. Like, other than going back on PB leagues a couple of years, we don't know much about them. And I love that Verbal's been in the chat for this one. He's saying like, each team not having their own media guy has hurt the sport tremendously. Only having industry pro passers for content really hurts the stories of teams. I mean, I agree with that 100%. I think that every team should have their own media person, and there's definitely enough media people out there to do that. And look at the sidelines on the pro field alone. There's, I feel like at least 10 photographers, videographers just lined up on the snake side during pro matches. You can definitely get that content out there, and maybe going forward, that's something that the NXL as a league or as a player organization, like as a whole, they should come to an agreement and make that a requirement if they really want to get this sport like kind of taken off the ground.
Yeah, it's it takes some money out of pocket, but you have to be willing to shell it out, especially if you're making money off of the content or some way like that. So like somebody like me, if I got picked up for a pro team, I would have Will out there filming me, like no doubt. It's like, all right, what do I have to do to get him out there? So I'm getting content. But at the same time, like not everybody's passion is making content. So at the end of the day, it's like, you have to approach it from a business standpoint of like, okay, we're going to spend this amount of money to get this done, and what is this going to bring back in? And if you look at it from a long-term standpoint, you will develop people that are invested into the team and thus want to purchase merchandise, purchase, anything that you can, consume in paintball, whether it's watching the videos, getting you out for clinics, things like that. But you have to understand that there is some type of return on investment if you do it consistently, because those people can establish relationships with you. And that's how marketing works, and somebody that's a viewer might be like, well, that seems kind of sleazy that you're only doing it for that. It's not you're only doing it for that, but you do have to have some type of goal in it that comes back to making money, because you can't just do everything for free all the time, unfortunately. That's And if we want to make this sport grow and where people can play full time and not have just some guy with big pockets helping us, like, oh, I make this much money, I'm going to pay this guy, and actually be like, hey, we're funding this ourselves. We don't have to have like these outside guys, or we do have sponsors, but they want to sponsor us because of the following we have and not because, they just like paintball. So that's kind of where it comes back to, because like I said, not everything's free, and we only have so much time in the day. So it's like, if we're going to spend our time on this, we have to have some type of, return on what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, that just goes back into, we need to promote outside of the people that we already have. And how do you do it? That's exactly how you do it. You get these, you get more members of the media, you get more content out there. And granted, I don't know all of the specifics as far as like, Ghost Sports and their deal with the NXL, and I don't really want to get into that because I have no perspective, and I don't know if Ghost Sports is the one taking charge or if it's the NXL or if they're one and the same. I don't know what the agreements are there exactly, but I think that's the next step, is to get more of this content. Like some of the stuff on Ghost Sports is really good, like the Sunday Drivers, I think, or not Sunday Drivers. What's the most recent one that they did of like the recap of last season?
5 Sundays,
4 Sundays.
Something
Yeah,
like that,
whatever the newest version of 5 Sundays is. Like that stuff is captivating, and it's locked behind a paintwall on Ghost Sports where no one's going to see it unless you're already there, right?
Yeah, and then it doesn't come out on YouTube until like the end of the year, and you're like, this has no relevance to me whatsoever anymore, because we already know it happens, right? So it's like, if you look at it from a timing standpoint, it's like, hey, if we're gonna do this, we need to have it out in 2 weeks. it might not be the best thing in the world, but if we still put in enough time, if we're paying people to do it, we can still expect something good, and it's still relevant to people, and it still sets the stage for the next thing, which thus drives more people to watch the next tournament, right? So it's like when we're posting it, 6 months later, we're not getting anything out of this besides the 5 to 10,000 people watching it that already know what happened. So it's like then your watch time goes down because they're like, oh, okay, I already know what happens. But if you post it in between those, it leaves you on a cliffhanger. It leaves you on a mystery of, oh, what's going to happen. And if you give context to it, then it leaves like this long lasting interest in viewing paintball, right? Because you're always like, all right, what's the next thing? Dynasty's won 7 out of the last 10. What's the next thing to happen? Are they going to win 8 out of the last 11? It's everybody wants to know. And so if you build that up, you have more anticipation to watching it, and then more people tune in. And it's a catalyst effect. But for some reason, we don't understand that in paintball, and we want to lock everything behind paywalls. Quite honestly, it's not cheap. $10 a month is not cheap when we're looking at subscriptions. Like, what isn't Hulu like the cheapest form of Hulu, like $8 a month?
Something like that. Yeah. I mean, not only all of that, but like the content, whenever you do finally release it, like even the stuff that is on Go Sports, like Defining Moments is the newest version of 5 Sundays. Defining Moments episode 1 comes out after NXL Florida, and it's a recap of the first event of Florida last year. So it's like, all right, I'm looking at the storylines here. I see that Edmonton Impact's on top. Man, I really like that Alex Goldman guy. Let's go look up Edmonton Impact and see how they're doing this year. Wait a second. I don't see Alex Goldman anywhere in Edmonton Impact's roster. Like, what happened there? And then there's this like huge disconnect, and you're not able to build a storyline or follow it when it's not released and available in a timely manner.
Yeah. Context is everything, and then within context is timing. So.
For sure. Yeah. Verbals, he's kind of echoing that same thing. Yeah. He says Go Sports needs to just hire someone to make shorts for YouTube and then grow that and start streaming it from there. Yeah. 100% agree. I mean, they have channel like memberships on YouTube now. There's no reason that you can't migrate your platform to one with much higher visibility, which I know that there's other things behind the scenes, like owners of Go Sports are like the same owners that own like the NXL, and so I'm sure there's other reasons and other motivations for that stuff, but I think just like you need to have more visibility in general if you hope to grow this thing to where paintball really could be, because it is cool.
Yeah, I think I looked at the Social Blade stuff the other day, and I think if you combine me and Verbal, we're doing like 20 times more views than Go Sports.
Jeez. Yeah. No, we got to fix that. All right. So, let's, I guess last question that I have for you before we kind of move on from this topic. As far as your personal channel and your content creation, I know you're filming with your head cam and your barrel cam, and then you have 40 Media filming you on the sideline, and then you're doing all of the editing. Do you ever envision yourself getting to a point where you're outsourcing the editing portion and then you're focusing on more like being the personality and the creator itself?
Whenever my videos are hitting like 200K views consistently, then I'll definitely do that. And I'll probably have to teach the person how to edit, just because like I feel like nobody's editing like paintball videos like I do. I feel like people can learn though, and they probably can do it better than me, to be honest. But just having that trust, because I know paintball is such a niche sport. But yeah, I would definitely like to outsource it. I would like to outsource it where I can edit, because just as an FYI, if you go to my channel right now, you can see I just started a second channel, and I'm just gonna put like long format vlogs on it, and just kind of like passion project stuff. But the biggest thing there is like I would love to outsource my main stuff so that like that is like 10 times better production quality, like color grading's on point, like everything's synced up, everything's right, all the emotions are there's all of these sound effects, and then I would just focus on doing secondary channel stuff so like people get the true like personality. So like there's not enough paintball content right now, unfortunately. So just like with a second channel, I could push out more paintball content and develop a better relationship with people that's a little bit more personal. And I don't have to worry about retention time and view duration and click through rate. I can simply just be Matt the gym rat to like those people. So yeah, that's like in a perfect world. But like I said, until I'm posting a video every 2 weeks and it's getting 500,000 views, then I'm definitely not at that point. But I think probably for the time being, I'll be editing for a while. But I would love to outsource it so I can play video games more.
Oh yeah, and then you're becoming more of a personality, and then it's like, hey, catch my paintball content, catch my Valorant content, catch my R6 content here. Yeah. And that would be the dream.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so kind of moving forward from that segment, this next question is brought to us by FUAthletics. Go to FUAthletics.com and use code inthepits25 for 25% off of your order. FUAthletics, they do casual and athletic clothing, and every purchase gives back to cancer research. It's by Thomas, who's actually a teammate of mine on the Texas Titans. So go check out that website, see what interests you, and of course use code inthepits25. So Matt, with everything that you've done in this short time that you've been in paintball, which 5 years isn't short by any means, and you've definitely been very efficient with your time and you've done a lot, do you have like a single favorite moment in your career so far, either as a player or as a content creator?
Wow. I guess the biggest moment was obviously like being on the World Cup stage for playing for first. That's just like that's the epitome of paintball, right? Is playing for the finals at World Cup. I don't think there's anything that came better than that. That's the only time where I like felt something going into the match that I had never felt before. Like this whole chill went over my body as I was like airing up my tank. And I remember it like turned on as soon as I started airing up my tank. I felt like this chill. And maybe it was the air blowing on me, but I was like, damn. And then I told myself, I was like, dude, I've played high school football games with 10,000 people in the stands. Like, this is nothing. And as soon as the air came off, I was like, all right, let's go play paintball. And it sounds it sounds like cookie cutter almost. Like, all right, Matt, you're not in an action video, but like, you're the star to your own movie. So I was the star to my own movie there. And so it was just a cool feeling to like, be in that spot and having all those eyes on me that, all those people watching. And nobody really knew me then. I had 1 million followers on TikTok then, but still like, dude, I was like one of the most followed paintballers in the world, and still nobody in paintball knew me at the time. So it's just like, okay, I had to text Matty Marshall, I had to get his number and tell him who I was and tell him like, oh yeah, I got 1 million followers on TikTok, and so it was pretty cool. And I played a really good match. Unfortunately, we didn't win. But like for how I played, I felt like it was one of my better matches of the tournament. And that whole tournament, I just felt like there was nobody better than me in the Snake. And I felt like even in that match, I still was, like one of the best players on the field at times. But just unfortunately, you can't. That shows how much of a team sport paintball is. That even though you're like, okay, like I am playing really good, you still can lose. So, but yeah, like that was the point when I was like, okay, this is. I was meant for this. I put in all the time, where I went to college at, we didn't have like the only field I could go drill at on Saturdays was 2 hours away. So I would go drive 2 hours just to do drills for, 4 hours and then drive home. And so I was like, okay, this is, where I'm meant to be. And then I haven't got back there yet, but it's still like what I'm working for. And for everybody watching, I never truly won a paintball tournament that I've been proud of. I've won one paintball tournament in my career, and I don't count it just because there was 8 teams in the tournament, and we were I felt like we were obviously the best team there. But like I still don't think I've ever, that's the only tournament I've ever like truly won. So like I still don't have that thing to hang my hat on and say like, yeah, I've won this tournament. So every time I think I'm there, like this past weekend, I was like, let's do it, man. Like this is the time to do it, and still didn't win it. But yeah, I'm still chasing that first win, that first true win. And then for content, I think whenever TikTok hit 1 million, that was pretty cool. But I think the coolest thing was like my last World Cup video when it hit like 200K views in like the first 2 weeks, and I was like, oh wow, like this is doing really well. It's doing a lot better. Like I would look at like the people I looked up to, and my video is doing better than theirs, and I was like big people, like the Phoenix Resale guy that I told you about. That's like he's consistently getting over 100K views on his videos, and I was like, oh wow, my video is doing better than his, and I was like, oh, I never saw myself being here. So that was really cool. Besides that, there's been so many times, like the first time I ever got paid for doing videos was Twitch, funny enough. So I got my first check from Twitch, and I was like, I just got paid for playing video games, man. And so that was pretty cool. And becoming a YouTube partner, I think getting my plaque was another one. But it all happens so fast that you don't really get to sit in it, and I'm not really satisfied with where I'm at. So I'm still working. So there's not like this huge thing, but just seeing that one video from World Cup do really well, and all the time that I put into it, and all the things that I set up to make sure that video went well, and it all kind of came together, was a really good feeling. And so like I kind of understand like this is the formula, and now I need to improve on it. And so like you can kind of look at my World Cup video and then look at the videos I've put out recently and kind of see the correlation and the relationship in the two. But yeah, those are probably the biggest moments. Is World Cup, funny enough, for both of them.
Yeah, I mean, with the whole winning a tournament and how it's so difficult to win a tournament in paintball. Like
it's the hardest thing.
Geez, like especially when you've got some of these team counts, like the margins are already super thin with how few points that you play in paintball and how little time there is on the field. Like you're only on the field for 12 minutes in D3.
Yep.
And oftentimes that's probably what, like 4, 5, 6 points in a match.
Mm-hmm.
Like the margins are so razor thin in paintball. Like if one thing goes wrong, it could be as little as, oh, you got bounced versus the ball broke, or hey, you got called out on rub, and that just blows the whole game. And you
get a penalty for rub. That's even worse.
Oh yeah. And just to be like where you are, you're well on your way to Division 2 and still chasing that first win feeling. That just says how insanely difficult the sport of paintball is. Like I know other sports, it's like, oh, I won this match. That's like a great feeling. We played on this field for an hour or multiple hours, and we came out as a better team. Whereas like in paintball, you really only get that feeling if you win an entire tournament, it's so crazy how hard this sport is, or how hard, like how high the standard is.
Yeah. And I mean, like the people on the internet don't understand, but you get shot once and you're out. Like, and it's not like the paintball flies and hits the target that you're aiming at instantly. There's so many variables. And so like there's so much unpredictability in paintball. And that's why it's so hard to win a tournament, is because you have to have some type of luck on your side. You have to have some type of, oh, I got bounced going in, or, oh, my paint didn't break when I was shooting this lane versus the other team that was shooting like worse paint and it was breaking. And it's all factors in, dude. I mean, like the World Cup tournament that we got second in, we had awful paint. Our paint was we could barely shoot, and we were still beating teams. So it's like, imagine if our paint was shooting straight. It's like maybe we would have lost those matches, because we wouldn't have been shooting as much, because we'd have been like, oh, I don't have to shoot this gap as much now because all my paint isn't doing the curly cues and looking like a bunch of Arby's curly fries out there. But I mean, dude, it's so many weird factors. Funny enough, whenever we got second at World Cup, the semi-pro squad for Crisis won, and they couldn't even shoot paint out of their guns. Like they literally, there's a clip from Fava on his Instagram of Rashad sitting in the snake shooting, and he doesn't get a ball. I think he shot like 2 balls, and he hit a guy running through a gap with one of them. They were taking the paint. We got like one of the last kids. They were taking the paint out of our packs and putting it in their backs in the finals, because our paint had been sitting out in the sun longer, so it wasn't as brittle. And it was just like it was crazy, man. And it's like you still win a tournament doing that. It just shows like the amount of skill and amount of luck on your side, when even like you can't shoot a straight ball and you're still winning the tournament.
This sport is so dumb sometimes, honestly. Let's be real.
Yeah.
It's just all of those different factors that just make it like just that much more satisfying when you do get that win. So the chat, PJ_T, shout out to Arby's curly fries one time.
Let's go, Arby's.
All right. So with coming back to your current playing career and looking to the near future. So you've been coming down to play in Texas quite a bit. You traveled down to Dallas for the first Bunker Fest event. And then just a week and a half ago, you were here for the NXL Lone Star event. And then you've also, not too long ago, you came to Paintball Fit to play the Mech X-Ball events. So how have your experiences been playing in Texas?
Oh, dude, it's awesome, man. I genuinely think that like if I didn't have such a good situation here, I would just quit everything and move to Texas. It's like every time I go there, I always like it. And I think that everybody that plays there is good. We brought all the clutch guys out on Sunday after Bunker Fest to play at Fit, and they were like, "Damn, these D4 kids are good." I was like, "That's because they play against really good competition every weekend, you know." And I mean, like Scott and all them were out there from Fit playing against these D4 kids. I was like, "That's why they're good, is because they're playing against good competition." Not only that, but like. I feel like I sound conceited sometimes when I say this stuff, but like I can go to any paintball field in the country now and somebody will know me there. And that's really awesome that I can go to Fit and literally just see people that I know there and talk to. Whenever we came to Dallas to play the Mech X-Ball, me and we got to know Dylan really well, just to say that. Dylan Fout, so we stayed with him and Scott Stewart. And so So Scott had all his boys come in, and Dylan was like, we kind of ran out of places for everyone to sleep. So Will slept in the bed with Dylan, and I slept on the floor next to him. And I was like, bro, we were getting to know Dylan so well, and this is the first time we ever met him. But yeah, it was just like, and now every time I see Scott, it's such a good time, and Will and Scott have a really good relationship too. And like every time I see Dylan, I'm like, man, I love you, dude. And he's like, come here, buddy, I love you too. And it's just, it's just great relationships. And like I said, I can go out to any field now and just talk to people and people will know me. And I'm, like how paintball is, you're instantly welcomed in. And playing like, it definitely opened my eyes to how good people are. Playing the Mech X-Ball was the first time of like, oh, these people are, playing against like Blake Yarber and all the Fit guys, and like just seeing the quality in everybody that was out there was huge. And so going to Bunker Fest and playing against everyone. Granted, like our squad was a pretty throw together squad. All of us had played in clutch, but never really played tournaments together. So it was a good time, and obviously like the competition out there is really solid. And then playing against y'all, obviously in Texas, and losing to y'all, kind of opened our eyes. Just like even these teams that are going 2-1-1 coming out of prelims are still like they have a ton of talent, and y'all are still able to capitalize on the middle, like the smallest mistakes, and that was a big factor. But yeah, like I like Texas a lot. If I didn't have like my best friend willing to film me and us doing so well in content and having a pretty solid job out here, I'd definitely be like, all right, I'm picking up all my stuff and moving to Dallas.
Dude, Texas is where it's at. There's just so many factors that make us like such deep talent pool across the state. And it's not just at Fit. I mean, granted, Fit is fantastic and they've built something amazing there, but it's truly across the state. I mean, part of it's like we don't have an off season. We don't have to take off because, there's 6 to 10 inches of snow covering the field.
Yeah.
Even in like January, February, it's still like 50 degrees outside. So we don't have an off season. We've got players that are playing like D4 for many, many years. Like we've got players that have been playing in D4 for 10 plus years, and they're just like grinding, and like constantly we're playing, like doesn't matter what division we're playing. At practice, we're the guys that are truly like climbing up. They'll play against whoever. They'll play against the local pros. They'll play against, upper division guys. They'll play, as many tournaments as they can. Like we've had multiple seasons where we've played 10 tournaments in one season. So
yeah, that's huge.
It's massive. And because of it, like the competition just across the board is super high right now. And you see it in the results. Like Texas teams are definitely a cut above, it seems like, for the rest of the country in all divisions. Like, I'm happy that you gave some shout outs to us. Like, we definitely made some mistakes in prelims and went 2-1-1 when, we had a couple of matches where we were up and then let the other team back in. Like, even that first point that we played against y'all, we were up like 3 bodies to your one snake guy, and it ended up being a no point. So
yeah, it was that. It was a crap show. The first 3 points were just penalties. Like that. We started off. I think we got it to a 5-on-3, and then my brother got a major, and so it immediately goes to a 2-on-3, and then it was a 1-on-3, and then it ended up being a no point. And then the next point, y'all got a major, and it should have been a no point, but our coach toweled it before they called it a no point. And so it was like, okay, what's happening? And then the next point, it was a 4-on-4, and we get a minor, and so it immediately goes to a 4-on-2. And it's like, dude, can we get a grips on how to actually play paintball and not get penalties? And then at that point, like we lose that, and then it's like y'all have the advantage, right? Y'all have us on our heels. Y'all are up 2-0, and it's like we got a minute and a half. And so at that point, we're just like trying to scratch for anything. And y'all did a really good job at like holding us off. And like just even like we won that next point in like a minute. But still, the fact that we had to take a whole minute and we only had a minute and a half says something, right? That we were like flying down the field. And it still took us that long, because then we're like 30 seconds. We got to go fast, And in that point, I like crawled in y'all's snake. The very last point, I crawled in y'all's snake, and I shot 2 people, and the third person, I ran out of paint shooting at, and I was like, oh no, I'm in their snake with the guy up. Like, I'm looking at him face to face, and I have to reload. And then your snake guy came and gave like 10 in the back of my head. And I was walking off. The ref's like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm good. My head's just ringing a little bit. But I was so upset after that, because I was like, if I didn't run out of paint, I would have been okay. But the fact that, I ran out of paint is just something else. But yeah, it was like the fact that, y'all were able to take advantage of the opportunities y'all were given, says something that we weren't able to do the same. So
I will say, for our guy that shot you, gave you 10 in the back of the head, he did feel really bad about it afterwards. He's like, coming off the field, he's like, I think I gave him like 10. And he did feel bad. So I will pass the apology along on his behalf.
Yeah, he said he's sorry. I was like, it's good, man. I was like, I know it happens in paintball. I'm not going to be the one to complain about it. I always make fun of people that do complain, so I'm never going to be the guy to complain about getting extra.
Yeah, well, I mean, just the level of competition here in Texas, to say like y'all are coming off of a 4th place at the first NXL event, and then you come to Bunker Fest, and granted it was a throw together line, but you don't make it out of prelims, and then you come to the second event in Texas, and you go 3-1, and you're like I think the 4th seed or something. You're like the highest seed, did not get a bye, and then you get knocked out in the Ochos to this 2-1-1 team. So like this, Texas does it differently, and it's and this is like our first year in D3. We were in
y'all got what, second in D4? Or no, third.
We got 4th in D4 at Cup out of 95 teams. Like
God,
that
dang.
was a weekend.
Yeah. That's impressive too. That's something big to like hang your hat on. Is like, hey, out of pretty much 100 teams, we were the 4th best one.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nicer with a top 3, but
Yeah, I know it. I know. I know the feeling.
Yeah, it's still though. Here in Texas, we do it differently. So, like you, let's see. So this next question, like looking ahead, what's next for Clutch? Are y'all gonna come down to Bunker Fest here in a week and a half, or are you gonna do some? Is it time to finally rest and recover before the next NXL event?
Yeah, man. I think the consensus is most people are going to be hanging out till the next NXL event. There's a large amount of guys that want to play the next NXL event. So I think we'll have a D4 team out there and a D3 team. So from that standpoint, yeah. I think they wanted to do the Bunker Fest team, but they just didn't have enough guys. I was one of those guys that was like, I need some time off, man. Like my videos are stacking up. I've got like 4 in the backlog now, and I'm like, okay, I really need like a solid 2 weekends that I can, go out to the field and do drills for a couple hours and then come home and edit. But yeah, definitely the next thing is just to try and perform well in the rest of these NXL events. I mean, getting a fourth in the first one and then taking a ninth. I think somebody said we're sitting like top 5 for the series, which is a good feeling, but we're not where we want to be. And to be honest, like I could care less how the series goes. I just want to win a tournament. I want to go out there and prove that we're the best, you know. And that's just going to come from learning. The guys have really bought into me and my brother's style of play. And so we'll lead the practices and we have an agenda of things we want to get done. And it's really been paying off as far as like from a learning perspective, because the guys last year were just like, they would just come in there and play points against us and we would just play points. And I was like, we're not growing at all. We're just playing the points just to learn the field. And then we go out there and go 2-2, and then Clutch goes like 2-2, 1-3. Sometimes they'll go like 2, 1-1. And it's like, guys, we haven't progressed at all, but we're doing the same thing at practice. So it's like, how can we expect some type of growth if we're not challenging ourselves? So the biggest thing there was like, okay, we're gonna run breakouts. We're just gonna shoot the lanes. We're just gonna run breakouts. We're just gonna play points, and then we're just gonna do drills, you know. And we focus on like certain things. And so we're like, okay, where are we lacking? We're gonna focus on that, and what do we need to do to build that back up? And like I said, there's a formula for being good at paintball, and it's not hard. You just got to be willing to do it. And so that's kind of why I'm excited for the rest of the year, is that we do have this formula, and we know like, oh, this is what we need to do to grow. And so it's just doing that now.
Yeah, and especially now that there's a little bit more time in between events. Like after this June event, I think there's like a 2+ month or 2.5 month gap between mid-June and then Chicago, which is in September.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm excited to. I think I went a little bit too hard in the off season, to be honest. I played every Saturday and Sunday in the off season, and then was going out and working out pretty much every day during the week. So my body's definitely feeling it. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to just spending some weekends, not stressing too much about having to go someplace or having to pay $500 to play a tournament or however much it costs for NXL events or local events, because it does add up. So, but yeah, and at the same time, I can get really creative with like the content that I make now. I've got a ton of ideas in my head that are, pretty minimal effort, but I know will do really well. I just need a weekend to actually do them and not, have to worry about like, hey, if I'm going to buy a Walmart paintball gun, it's not during a layout weekend.
Yeah, all of that expenses as well. I mean, they definitely add up. I know you're a big deposit guy, but those are definitely big withdrawals that add up.
Yeah, it's no joke, man.
All right, so everybody here that's still in the chat, we're getting here towards the end, and we're going to start going through the questions that are in the chat. So last call to ask Matt something. If you want to get it in there now. So
get them in.
So, Matt, this question is one that I ask everybody that comes on the show. Brought to us by Get Dat Shot. He's another NXL Pro Media guy from the Valley down south in Texas. So, message GetDat_shot on Facebook or Instagram for media coverage at Bunkerfest or NXL. So, is there anybody in paintball? So, in the script, I left Texas in there because usually I ask Texas people, but in your case, we'll make an exception. So anybody in paintball, either teams, players, brands, projects, pages, field owners, media, like it doesn't matter who it is. Who in paintball do you think deserves more recognition for what they're doing?
Yeah, that's a good point. This might sound like a little bit biased, but being someone who is a recipient, I got 2 people actually. Like Lone Wolf is literally the only people supporting independent paintball creators and players right now. If you look at any other brand out there, there's nobody physically sponsor or like actually sponsoring players like Lone Wolf is. Those guys reached out to me and was like, hey, we want to work out a sponsorship deal. Nobody else in the paintball space has done that to me. And it's funny because I'm sitting like the most viewed paintball channel on YouTube, or one of them. The largest paintball, TikTok. Me and Marky are the only two guys, and nobody in paintball has reached out to me besides them. And it shows that they understand not only what drives what they not only understand what people are interested in, but they also understand the marketing aspect to that and what it takes to see a return on it, right? Like, you have to be willing to put something in to get something out, and they're willing to put something in to independent people like myself to get something out of it. And that says a lot, because, you know, I wouldn't be able to do a lot of videos without them. So that's another thing, is like, whenever you go and shop at Lone Wolf, you know, and use my code, it not only is giving you something and you get to save something, but it also shows that, like, hey, Matt is worth it, and he might be even worth more than it, which means that I can make even better videos, you know. So at the end of the day, like, that's a huge driver, because there's nobody else in paintball actually reaching out to creators. They sponsor Ronnie, which is another creator. It's like, who else is actually reaching out to these guys and doing that?
Maybe Transfuse, that's about it.
Yeah, and Transfuse, yeah. So at the end of the day, there's very few companies that are doing that are paintball companies. And I don't want to leave Transfuse out. Yeah, we've worked together too. But the other person is, funny enough, I saw his Discord up, and I was like, oh, Steven, SVP Paintball, dude. Steven is like a wealth of knowledge, and I'm sure, I don't know if you've seen his videos, but he has so much educational stuff, and he is so well spoken, and he thinks it out, and his content is so good that it's hard to not watch it whenever you start watching it, right? You're like, wow, I'm learning so much stuff that I didn't actually think about. We're like, I knew it, but I never put it in words like that. So now it's easier for me to tell other people. Steven has a large amount of pride for his work, and I have a ton of respect for that. And that's why, like, we flew him out to coach us for Texas, right? Like, I was like, this guy has brought so much knowledge and education to myself that I think that he can do that for the whole entire team. And I trust him in making the calls, because I've seen him multiple times draw up game plans that not only I thought were excellent, but at World Cup last year actually worked whenever he was like, hey man, I just want to coach all, you know, I'm going to be at World Cup. And we were winning doing his game plans. And so I was like, I trust this guy. You know, I've sat down and talked with him, and not only that, but we have a lot of common interests. And that's always a super easy thing to work out whenever, you know, he's like, you know, how can I make my YouTube videos better? And I'm like, dude, you just asked me the question that has no end to the answer. I'm going to talk your head off for the next 3 hours about how we can make your YouTube channel better. So like, that's awesome, is to have he's a friend, to have a friend that is that knowledgeable and is that willing to spend the amount of effort that is needed to make good long form content. And I'm super happy that he's got the thing with Go Sports now. So he's going to be on the Go Sports cast. And I think he's commentating the Premier Field. So we will get some really solid commentating out of him. Unfortunately, Vince isn't there anymore, but I think if we had Vince and him in the booth, that commentating would be insane. But yeah, he's going to bring a great analytical standpoint to Go Sports that I feel like he's like Tony Romo brings to the NFL.
Yeah, that would be great to have. I know we were missing the Premier Field webcast for this last event. I hope that it comes back stronger. I know that Vince had to step away, so definitely a hole that needed to be filled, and I'm glad that SVP Paintball himself is there to fill those shoes. I know that I've definitely watched a lot of his videos, especially like the why you're stuck in D4, why you're stuck in D3 stuff. So yeah. PJ says shout out to Vince one time. Yes, let's go. All right. So Verbal saying that ANS reached out recently asking to license footage. Sure, it is direct correlation to what Lone Wolf is doing. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, glad that ANS is doing that. Shout out to Rory from ANS Gear, one of the people, probably one of the only people in paintball putting videos on YouTube, which was all like product reviews and stuff, but still, like, everybody knows Rory just because he's the one that has been putting the videos out there for such a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, now time to go through some questions from the chat. Let's see, just everybody saying hello. Dan Shelley, from Sheldon Media or
Damn.
yeah, what's up,
Shelby
Dan?
Photos.
Sheldon Photos. You got Charlie Lima Assault Squad saying what's up. Eli Greer saying what's up. What's up, Matt from Puma. From Lawson Benedict saying hello. Let's see. Eli Greer asks, Matt, how bad is the adrenaline rush when you were playing in the World Cup?
It like I said, it kicked in and then it went back down, and then I went to work. It was. I told myself it's another paintball match, and that's what I went out there and played it like was another paintball match. But I think once I got done, it was a really good feeling to know that like I said, all that work kind of culminated to one thing. And I had been on bigger stages before, not quite as much on the line, but I had played in front of thousands of people before in high school for football. So it wasn't something new as far as being in front of that many people, but just the amount of things on the line. I was like, if I let myself be nervous, then I won't play to my full potential. And so I just didn't let myself be nervous. I have a pretty good inner monologue. I don't know if y'all know this, but like I always talk to myself in my head and make sure that I'm in the right state of mind. Because I know like paintball is a game of smart decisions, and if you're emotional, sometimes you don't make the right decision. So it's better to be level-headed, usually for myself.
Sweet, yeah. I mean, just when you have experience, and really a big part of it is just experience. When you have experience with that adrenaline and knowing how to still focus and really like slow yourself down and still like, hey, I'm gonna fall back on my training or fall back on my experiences to know exactly what to do versus just like improvising. Like that's when you're like, I think that's what they call the flow state a lot of the time. So yeah, next question from Puma. How are you able to afford paintball while you go about your normal life?
Oh man. So I work a day job as a engineer. I'm a process engineer. So that's pretty much my day job. That brings in like the majority of my income. But luckily for me, with YouTube monetization and the sponsorships that I have, it does make playing paintball a little bit easier. So that's kind of why I'm so big on like long form content too. Is not only does it let me express myself, but if it does well enough, I can, not have to work a job and I can focus more on simply making the content, which is what I want to do. That's always my end goal is that I want to be a full time content creator, which what I feel like would be a first for paintball to have a full time YouTube content creator. Because when Maddie was doing it, he was 17, so technically, like, I guess you could say it was his full-time job, but he also was like in high school still. So you wouldn't call a high school worker having a full-time job. But yeah, I feel like if I could make the long-form content more attractive to larger audiences and build that, then I could definitely say like I don't have to work my day job anymore. I can simply sit at home and make these videos. But yeah, like the biggest thing is I work a normal day job like everybody else, and then the YouTube and sponsorship money allows me to do the extravagant videos where I fly out to Texas and play in the MX Ball, or I can go to Bunker Fest and actually play. That's what helps out with like the tying up the loose ends of everything.
All right, next question from David Ratchford. He says, Matt, what is your team switching up to pull out a win at this next Bunkerfest? He's not going to be there at Bunkerfest, but just, I guess, going forward in general, what's your team switching up?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is, like, we just have to establish some consistency. I feel like this last event, if we had just maybe been able to communicate a little bit more, I feel like that would have been a better spot. Even for Bunkerfest, just having a consistent roster would have been helpful, like coming out and playing with some guys. The biggest thing that I think we struggle with recently is just not only penalties, but like kind of dying out of our bunkers. So just working on survivability. We're definitely going to be focusing more on those drills going into the next event. So which will be Philly, is like, hey, we need to run island drills because we keep on getting dinked out of these spots, and we should be focused on staying alive more and communicating while still covering our zones. There's some things that Steven gave us on a checklist. So we definitely have some things to work on. But I feel like the biggest thing for us is playing a little bit cleaner and not dying silly ways. So just focusing more on valuing our body and communicating more.
For sure. Let's see. Earlier, you were talking about when you were making either clips or shorts. Sometimes you would add like other meme effects to it. From Stormy, he asked, "How big is your meme folder of effects?"
Well, how big is my meme folder? Man, I can't count it on my hands and toes. It's probably like 200 memes, somewhere around there. Because I had the memes on my stream too, so I have a stream deck, and I would just press buttons when I was live streaming, and memes would play. So I have probably 80 to 90 memes just from that alone, and then from getting all the other memes from everything. And also when I used to do video game videos on my Matt the Gym Rat gaming channel back in the day, I would just download a bunch of PNGs if I said something funny so that we could like throw it on there. So I still have probably have like 200 also photos of memes that if I wanted to throw those in, I could. But yeah, it's the memeage is deep over here in Matt the Gym Rat land.
Take notes, content creators. All right. From Jonah Lange, he asks, "Hey, are you going to be at the tournament in Chicago?"
Yeah, I will be there. I am going to all the NXL events this year, unless something bad happens, or if anything. Honestly, to be honest, going into Texas, the weekend before practice, we only had 6 guys, and my brother was like, "If we have 6, I'm not playing." So I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to find another team," and so I was just gonna find another team and fly out to wherever they were practicing that weekend. But fortunately for us, we did end up managing to get some people to go in. So we had 6 before the first practice, and then we had 9 at the tournament. And I was like, "What's happening?" But yeah, it was just like if the clutch, if something happens where like, "Hey, we only got 5 guys for Chicago," well, then I'm calling somebody up and I'm like, "Hey man, y'all got a spot? Because I'll be there for practice this weekend." But yeah, I'm going to all the NXL events this year, and I'm going to play in all of them too. So
sweet. All right. From PJ_T, earlier when we asked you about your favorite moment, he said favorite paintball moment is getting cracked in the head by a first strike round at Red versus Blue.
Yeah, so PJ is he does the podcast from the Center 50. So he's a fellow Carolinian, and he's a really good guy. I enjoy listening to his podcast as well. He's great comedic great comedic relief whenever everything's serious. So he's a good friend too. We talk a lot, but yeah, we played the Red versus Blue at the beginning of the year, and I don't play scenarios too much, but like those scenarios that are in my backyard, I'm like, all right, I'll be there, and so just running around and having fun and just goofing off. We were doing running and gunning drills at the other team while we were playing, so it's just a good time. And anytime I get to bring out my mech gun, which I got the 3M, so that was like my second time ever using it. I was like, anytime I get to bring out the Met gun, it's a good time.
For sure. And I'll have to go check PJ's out, his channel, even though he's saying #in-and-out, and he asked Matt, why does Whataburger suck so much? I almost timed you out of this chat. You better watch your mouth.
Dude, In-N-Out is like the lowest of low when you like go to like burgers. I think Burger King has better burgers than In-N-Out. I'll be honest.
Ooh,
I'm just saying, like, In-N-Out there's nothing about In-N-Out impresses me. They put Thousand Island on their burgers, and people are like, it's animal style. Like, it's Thousand Island, dude. Come on.
I just felt a disturbance in the force, like millions of voices over in California just cried out.
They like raised their fists, like.
All right, let's see. Matt Rao in the chat saying, just here to let Matt know that I'm upset he missed his another deposit pick today.
Dude, Matt Rao, pro player for Infamous, needs to make YouTube videos again. That's how me and Matt became friends. And I will say that I've only jersey swapped with 2 people, and they're both pro players. So, if somebody wants to make a jersey swap, there's 100% chance that you'll turn pro. Just saying.
All right, let's see. Oh gosh. Let's see other questions in the chat. See, I think. Oh, we're getting down to the end. Let's see. AJ Molinari, who's actually the Titans coach, he says SVP makes good content. It was cool to coach against him in Texas.
Yeah, he switches up the variables, man. He was like, he's always got us. He always has a reason to why we do something, and that's huge, right? Not just saying like, "Hey, we're going to do this." He's like, "Hey, this guy is going here, which means that we can go here." And either you're going there because he can't shoot you, or you're going there to shoot him, and that's like it's huge to have some type of reasoning behind every move on the field. And so it was in Florida, we didn't have a coach, so we kind of came in, and they would look at me and my brother and be like, "All right, what are we doing?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna go to the Doritos again, and Tyler's gonna shoot for the back center." But it was like, okay, when it comes down to the nitty gritty, we need somebody to call the lines and do everything else. Because sometimes I'm like, I don't have the confidence to tell all these guys that are looking at me the right thing. And it's not just the confidence, it's the knowledge, really. Not having knowledge gives me not to have the confidence. But yeah, it's like, hey, I just came off the field and I could only see what I'm doing. Like we picked up a guy just for the event, and I have no clue how he played, because literally every time I played, he played. And so it's like, how do I call the line if I have no clue how this guy plays paintball? And so like that was huge to have him in there and give that outside perspective.
Yeah. It's definitely huge. You need, especially at the upper levels, you need that outside perspective. It's so difficult to play or coach just in general, let alone at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
And we're definitely thankful that we have AJ this year, because previous like events, like all last 2 years, either we were lucky enough to maybe pull like Colt Roberts if he was there, available that weekend, and the event was at X Factor, or like we player coached. And it's tough. Like we player coached at World Cup, that fourth place out of 95. And man, that was granted, like we had a big roster, so that helped a little bit. Just like, guys that weren't playing that point were able to watch. But yeah, it's tough. So AJ, shout out to you. Glad we have you around for sure. All right. Let's see. The Real Deal NC says Toma crew in the house. Let's see. PJ says, a shout out to Matt for introducing me to this show. Gonna add it to your PB content arsenal. Appreciate that. Got content every week. You're definitely gonna be wanting to stick around for some of these later guests that I have this month. Matt, don't spoil episode 50, but we got some bangers coming. We got bangers for sure. Let's see. Next question from SVP Paintball says, question, why is Matt so cute?
Hey, yo. Steven, you got to take me on a date first.
Question from Leo L, which is one of my teammates. He says, Matt, how much you bench?
Oh, man. I don't max out anymore, dude. I'm getting old. I do. I go in and I focus on contractions now. I did... The other day I did the 90-pound dumbbells for like 4 sets of 8. So I don't know. I'm no longer a heavy lifter. I still like go for like heavy lifts, but I don't max out or anything like that because your boy is getting old, and diving into the Doritos and the snake every single point does not help out whenever I go to the gym and try and squat. These knees are not.
Dog, you're younger than me. Don't give me that you're getting old.
Come on now. I will say this. My joints or my tendons are not the best. I've had like tendonitis I think 6 times now between my knee, my arm, and my Achilles. Like it's pretty consistent. So I definitely have to like dial back whenever I'm in the gym and focus not so much on like stressing out, but just really getting a solid workout in when I'm in there.
I feel that I've definitely been riding the injury train for the last year and a half now with sciatic pain and herniated disc. That's fun, the worst,
dude. Oh, dude, that's rough. I can't imagine back injuries. Those are always rough. Back and shoulder injuries, I'm not jealous of at all.
For sure. Yeah. PJ says, Christian, pretty sure I followed you today on Instagram. Let's see about a collab in the future. Absolutely, man. Love to have you on. Let's get something in the works for sure. Let's see. Sturmy says it's all about those deposits. Real Deal NC says North Carolina, stand up. Let's see. Sturmy says legs or arms.
Stand up. Legs or arms. Why not do both?
Facts.
I did legs today though, and I forgot to post my another deposit picture. So maybe I should do arms.
Yeah, Stormy says Whataburger at 2 a.m. is elite. Changed my mind. There we go. Finally, we're restoring order in here.
I will say that if all of the Carolinians were adamant that Cookout is better than both of those or any of those. But
I don't know Cookout. I'll have to go check that one.
yeah, it's a college town thing here in like the southeast.
Okay, gotcha. All right, let's see. From Matty V. Appreciate you, gang. Another Matt starting his paintball journey in Michigan thanks to the Gym Rat. My first marker will be from Planet Eclipse. Looking forward to doing weekly pugs. Any other suggestions?
Yeah, man. I guess the biggest thing after that is get a tank that you actually enjoy. I see too many people getting like the 3000s or the peanut 4545s, and you're always going to want to upgrade. So you might as well spend the extra $20 to get a 68 or, get a 77, which will be like an extra $30 or $40, or, get a reg extender. That'll be super comfortable for you whenever you hold your paintball gun. So many people start with really small tanks and they look like nerds because they hold their guns with it like right on their nose. So in order to not look like a nerd and look like you know what you're doing, get a tank that fits you well. The best thing to know is like it comes up to like your elbow whenever you hold your gun. Somewhere around there is pretty good. And then after that, like, a solid loader that's electric.
Get a Spire specifically. Don't mess around. Like, don't cheap out on anything else. Get a Spire.
Yep. And you can use the code GYMRAT to save 15% on that Spire. I'm just saying. And I've had a Spire 3. I got a Spire 3 in 2018. It's the same Spire I'm still using today. So I've never had to do anything besides replace the motor once, which was literally $20. So yeah, it's worked wonders for me. I always recommend it. And then after that, just get a barrel kit so you can bore your paint, so you're a little bit more air efficient. You have a little bit more accuracy downfield, so your paint's not wobbly going through that barrel. Yeah, and then after that, it's just nitpicking stuff like getting a better regulator so you have better air pressure coming out of your gun, so it's more optimized, or more better air pressure coming out of your tank, so it's more optimized for your gun. And then after that, get a mask that doesn't fog up.
Mask is before all that.
Yeah, definitely get a solid mask. JT Pro Flexes are not expensive and they work great. And then yeah, man, just get everything else after that. And then the biggest thing is before you go buying all the Hormesis and Sandana stuff, spend a little bit extra money at getting good at paintball, because it doesn't matter how good you look if you still suck at paintball. I'm just gonna say it. I don't care that you broke your elbow.
There it is. All right. Yeah. Yeah, just get I can't tell you how, like, especially for the hopper thing though, like I was bad for years and then I switched from a rotor to a Spire and I was like, wow. Oh, this is how paintball's supposed to be played. Yeah, I've had my Spire 3 since 2017. I've gone through 2 board replacements. And I'm still going strong with it.
Yeah, you can't beat it.
So yeah, let's see. Looks like got a few more questions coming in. Man, the chat's still popping. From Sturmy, what is the biggest thing you have learned that you think has helped playing paintball?
Do more drills. There's no other sport in the world that they just simply play against each other all day. Football. Guess what? They go out there and they do tackling drills. They do coverage drills. They do, route running drills. If you're looking at soccer, literally the best players in the world just go outside and pass the ball to each other for 2 hours a day. It's like, it's not that hard. Go out there, learn how to snap shoot better, learn how to shoot lanes better, learn how to play your bunker, learn how to communicate. It's not that hard. Instead of wanting to go out there and play so many points, if you want to win paintball and you want to do well, go out there and focus on the fundamentals and get good at it. It's literally that simple, but people don't want to do it because they'd rather go out and play points because it's more fun. It's like, well, guess what? Do you want to win the points in practice or do you want to win the points in the tournament? Because the whole reason we practice is to do good in the tournaments. And if you're not doing good in the tournaments, guess what? Then you're probably flawed fundamentally.
One thing I'll add to that, because this is something that you actually do need to play points to realize. You have to go to their side of the field in order to hit the buzzer to score the point. So get out of your primary.
Yeah, that's huge. Dude, I'm so adamant. Like the last tournament I play, I'm literally behind. I play the 2 and D4 because if I was having to run and dive everywhere, I'd probably quit every weekend. But I play the 2 and I'm like, dude, look heads up, wrap and go. I was like, we are not going to win the point sitting in these bunkers shooting crossfield. I was like, we can do that all day, and they will still go through our gaps, and they will go down and shoot us all in the back. I was like, if we do not go up the field, we're not going to be good, you know. So that's another huge thing. It's like, hey, if you don't go through your progressions and get up the field, you're gonna lose. You know, it's just bound to happen.
For sure. SVP Paintball asks, Matt, what's the most common mistake you see players make in Division 3?
I feel like I guess I'll come from my point of view. Is just going quiet. I think that's a huge thing. Is like not relaying information when you have it. Like my brother gets on to me a lot of like I'll get kills out of the snake and I won't say anything because I'll go for the next kill. And he's like, Matt, you just got 2 kills. Why would you not tell somebody? And I feel like a lot of times, more often than not, like I go quiet. So whenever we're talking about it, I feel like from my standpoint, it's like maybe sometimes I'm too quiet. Like if I'm a 2, I will talk the whole entire match. But as soon as I'm a 1 and I'm in this vulnerable position, I feel like if I say something, I'm gonna be caught out, and I feel like that's not always good because more information is always better. So I feel like the biggest thing, and I'm just doing that from my perspective, and I'm sure Steven has a better perspective, but one is just not communicating enough, and then I guess 2 would be like not being aware of the field. I feel like there's too many times where I get kills out of bunkers that I should have never gotten those kills out of, and I feel like that goes for like all sides of the tournament, but like going to the can at the Texas event, it's like, okay, the guy can easily get into the snake and he can easily shoot my pack without anyone doing anything. I need to play this can tighter, but I can't tell you how many kills I got out of the guy in the can when I would go in the snake. It's like, dude, it's not that hard. And the guy heads up can barely shoot you. So it's like, if you just get low and you play the can tight, you are fine. And people would still go in and play the can loose and get shot in their pack. And it's like, dude, that's simple field awareness that nobody would get that kill in pro. You'd have to pinch that guy out to get that kill, but yet people don't have enough field awareness to say, oh, this bunker is easily shot from this guy. I should play it tighter. So I guess those are 2 things.
For sure. Let's see. Puma says, any input on getting started in competitive paintball? I have been practicing with the Omaha Jams squad, and they want me to join one of their teams. Yeah, Omaha Jams, there's some cool dudes. They were at Cup, they were passing out these green sunglasses with their logo on it. Dude, I still have those. Those are awesome. They're really cool dudes.
They're a cool group of guys, and they were a Max sponsored team, which was pretty cool. So I got to work with plenty of footage because I made that Maxed video for Charles, which also is another sponsor. So shout out to Max. But yeah, if you're looking to get started as a beginner, the biggest thing is just going out to the field. That's how you develop relationships. That's how you can get on teams easier. And play points, dude. If you can't, if you're out there and everybody's playing points, get in as many points as you can, because that's the only way you're going to grow. And don't be afraid to go and dive into the snake and go to the other side of the field, because you're going to get shot, and you might as well get shot trying to do something versus sitting in a bunker that you're not supposed to be in, not doing anything. So be willing to be the guy to go try and do things. Become comfortable in your body. The more you play, the more comfortable you'll be holding your gun, diving, just doing all of that stuff. And if you never try it, you'll never know if you can do it or not. So just go out there and try stuff and actually get to the field and play.
For sure, especially if you're like playing competitive paintball for the first time. Just remember, if you attack, you're gonna win that way more often than if you're like sitting in your primary and trying to play defense. Like, go attack, because you're gonna get the better angles. And also, like, a bigger thing that I've found myself explaining a little bit to like our local D5 guys and some of the other squads, like, paintball, yes, it's a game of shooting, but it's just as much, if not more, of a game of movement. So, like, really focus on that movement aspect, getting up the field on the tapes and getting to those more advantageous positions so that you can get those kills a lot easier.
Yeah, man. If you never shoot anybody, you can't win.
All right. Let's see. That pretty much does it for all of our questions in the chat. So, with our last thing, Matt, this question is brought to us by Compete, which is Jel Stewart's brand of AC Diesel. Message him on Facebook or Instagram and mention In the Pits for 10% off of your order of soft goods. So, Matt, thank you so much for your time. Do you have any last shout outs or things you'd like to say before you sign off?
Yeah, big shout out to all the sponsors, Lone Wolf, Max, Hormesis, and Enemy of the State are the current guys that are all helping the content happen, making it easier for me to do giveaways and stuff like that. So those guys are awesome. If you ever want to see more content like for myself, channel members always get access to a bunch of exclusive content, and they also get entered in those giveaways. It's literally $2 a month, and you get entered into winning Hormesis headbands and Sandana headbands and my personal jerseys. So it pays for itself, and there's over 30 videos in there. So if y'all ever get bored and want to get more paintball content, it's just 2 clicks away. And then the biggest shout out, and the thing that I will never not shout out, is big shout out to Will from 40 Media and Alex from 40 Media. Those are the guys that literally make my content happen. So I would not be anywhere as close to I am of a content creator without them, and just the willingness that Will has and Alex has and myself have to grow and to take criticism and to do all of that, and really just to bounce ideas off each other. So if you're not following 40 Media, which I guarantee a lot of people aren't, go do it, man, because he is the the wheels behind why the car goes down the hill. I guess that's an awful analogy, but you get what I'm saying. He really helps my content happen.
For sure. Yep. I'm just double check to make sure I'm following him. I was already following him. Yeah, definitely go follow
Good.
40 Media.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
Yes.
That does it for our show. Matt, thank you so much. Everybody listening, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to go follow Matt. That's at Matt the Gym Rat. That's 2 T's on that last rat. All one word on Instagram. It's right here on your screen, or if you're just listening to the audio recording, Matt the Gym Rat. What other guests would you like to see on the show? Be sure to leave a comment down below. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button. The show goes live weekly here on youtube.com/@inthepitspaintballpodcast, and recordings are posted to YouTube, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify the next day. Want to give a quick shout out to my partners and sponsors: FUAthletics, Get That Shot, Paintball Kumite, Compete, Hustletown Paintball, and Hermes PB. We will see you all next week for episode 48, where we will have Ruben Maldonado and Damon Rippey of the Texas Titans D5 line. The Texas Titans D5 boys, they're on fire. They won Bunker Fest. Damon was the recipient of the MVP award. And then over in NXL Round Rock, they got a 3rd place finish. So these boys are definitely killing it. We're going to get some perspective from these two that have been in the Titans program for a little bit now, get see like, hey, how their series is going so far, how their season is, and finally like just what it's like to be a Titan. So y'all, we will see you all next week. Matt, thank you so much.